On this edition of Cars Tour Would You Rather, do you prefer syrup or sprinkles on your ice cream?
Sprinkles. I'm a calories guy, so serve too many calories. Try to stay healthy.
Sprinkles mixed into some chocolate and good berries that's where it's at.
Sprinkles, definitely sprinkles. I've never really had syrup on my ice cream.
Sprinkles. I don't know, sprinkles. Colorfulness, I like it.
Oh, definitely sprinkles. Syrup's way too sweet.
Syrup for sure.
Syrup.
Syrup for sure. Sprinkles don't have flavor, they're just crunchy.
I'd rather have sprinkles, have a little bit of texture to it.
Sprinkles. I'm not a syrup person. I don't like caramel or chocolate, I guess.
Chocolate syrup, yes. Tastes better.
I'm not a sweets person, so I don't do sprinkles or syrup.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
The Lady in Black is set to claim another field as the vice grip set on 11 chase drivers by Daniel Falkingham continues to tighten. NORC is taking on that which is too tough to tame, the Darlington Raceway. NORC is live now on Pit Stop TV. Welcome to the virtual Darlington, South Carolina. Eric Brennan and Emerson Arden join me on the mic this evening. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and I welcome you all to this evening's Pit Stop TV coverage of the NORC iRacing Series. Last week's Dirt Bristol race was what we all thought would be our one big wild card of the chase. With it off the table, what's next? Can Zoltan Hergzeg go back-to-back from Season 12 to Season 13? And win Darlington and try to find a way to claw back into contention? How does this race for third shape up? How does the Lady in Black fight back against these drivers this evening? A lot of questions yet to be answered this evening, Eric, and we're about to find out the answer to those questions here pretty soon.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, Andrew. And first off, hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you once again as I look forward to these NORC broadcasts each and every week. But, you know, although Daniel Falkingham has just about put the championship possibly out of reach, it would take a lot for things to get disrupted that much for him to fall out of the clutches of the championship point lead. There is a lot of subplots that we're going to keep our eye on. And for me, it involves Daniel Falkingham. But the simple matter of we've watched this guy conquer just about every facet of the NORC slate, except for a super speedway, which we know can be a bit of a wild card. We thought last week at the Bristol Dirt was going to be the one that would kind of catch him off his game. It didn't. Maybe this track will be it. I think that's going to be one of the things we got to keep our eyes on here, but judging by practice, he's been fast yet again, so this may be another notch in the belt of Falkingham if things continue on the path in which they have for him this season.
He consistently finds ways to win. That's all there is to it. Let's take a look at the track, of course, Darlington Raceway, as these drivers begin their qualifying times. You can see 1.366 miles. It's an egg-shaped track, Eric, actually Emerson, I should say, because there's a minnow pond off of Turn 4 that I got to lay my own eyes on this past weekend. Being able to go to Darlington for the Cookout Southern 500 was a pretty special weekend, but I can tell you, this is my new favorite racetrack out of all of them, at least in NASCAR. Nothing quite tops Darlington. Nothing meets Darlington at all. This place is cool. This place is tough. This place separates the men from the boys.
Oh, absolutely. With how narrow it is, there's about 2.5 lanes of actual racing surface, what drivers called racing surface above the dashed white lines in the corners, and that's about it. Turns 1 and 2 is so long. 3 and 4 is very tight, and it takes a lot of finesse to get around here. It really is who has the best concentration, who has the most confidence, and who can really wield their NASCAR Xfinity Series styled vehicle without hitting the wall for 147 laps.
One of the other questions that we've got to answer then is who can get around here without hitting the wall too hard. Let's take a look at our standings coming into this race. This is the fourth to last or third to last, I guess, on how you want to look at it. Regardless, this is race 4 of the chase, right in the middle. This is race number 22. Daniel Falkingham comes in with 8 wins. That's pretty incredible, winning over a third of the season so far. You can see Zoltan Hergzeg, 45 points back. He's got to win. He goes fastest so far in qualifying, Eric. He might be on the way to doing something and trying to claw back into contention for the title. You see everybody else is pretty much mathematically eliminated. That goes back to John Barry, David Schutt, Chad Oxendine, Brett Pancari, everybody else. There are some big notables off of our week last week at Bristol. Zach Lindgren moving up, Jared Darling falling down, Howie Briss getting closer to popping into the top 10, and Hayes Booth moving up into 14th, now ahead of Ariati and well ahead of guys like Terrell Baker, Spencer Owens outside the chase. But we do want to take a look now as time is quickly ticking off the clock, and our qualifying standings, only a minute and change left to go, and Zoltan Hergzeg is now fastest.
Yeah, well, first things first, if Daniel Falkingham wins 2 more races, whoever handles our graphics department is going to have a problem. That, of course, is you, Andrew Cardinale IV, because we found a way to fit all those asterisks in place, and it's been kind of tough. One of the cool things about Darlington, of course, is some of the throwbacks that we get to see here. And here is John Berry, who obviously finished up his qualifying run there as he stuffs it into the wall in turn number 1 there with the Hardee's colors. Here's somebody who's not necessarily running a bit of a throwback, David Schutt, who, even though he had success in the NORC Indy 500, hard to believe that this driver is winless so far on the stock car side of things for NORC in 2021. But look at this ride here of Daniel Falkingham. I credit Andrew Cardinale IV for pointing out rather quickly this is a throwback to a ride in which Greg Sachs had back in the day, and Falkingham is trying to give himself another opportunity at a photo shoot with a different type of vehicle in the backdrop, and we'll see what he can do here on his second time through in qualifying. Looks like for now he will remain third.
No.
Check that. He goes to the top.
Quick time for the 20. Money shifts, throws it into a slide, spins it out. It was a lot of fun to put that one together with Daniel over the weekend. It's a really good-looking car. Can't wait for it to go fast this evening as Tommy Gossett moves up into second in his qualifying run in a special 911 Never Forget tribute paint scheme. The number 10 on board. Oxendine goes up to 4th. David Schutt into 7th. Terrell Baker drops to 8th. And now Anthony Emery moves into that 8th position. So a lot of these guys coming out late in qualifying, but still many cars not taking a time, as Emery is going to stuff it into the barrier and call that a qualifying attempt. So 13 cars, that's it. Only 13 cars turned a lap in qualifying. Freddy De La Rosa, the slowest of them, which is pretty surprising considering he's got several track records here across the different vehicles that NORC has run over its time on the iRacing.com service. Qualifying wrapped up, then let's meet your starting field for NORC at Darlington. It's race 22 of 25, and starting on pole is Daniel Falkingham. Fun fact for all of you watching, 3 times this race has been won from the pole. That is more than any other starting position. 3 times, and Falkingham is starting first. Tommy Gossett starts to his outside in the number 10 car. Starting third this evening, it's Zoltan Herzeg. Chad Oxendine rolls off from 4th. Starting 5th this evening, it's going to be Brett Pancari, Auto Club winner, with Howie Briss, who is outside in 6th. Starting 7th, it is, of course, David Schutt in the 5 car. Anthony Emery to his outside. And starting on the inside of row number 5, it's everybody's favorite, TCB. Over his right shoulder, it's Cole Fralick, Eric.
Now we get to the drivers outside the top 10, including John Berry, who got in the wall after his qualifying run. And Ariadne's been on a bit of a tear lately as one of the non-chase drivers. He's going to start the 23 car in 12th position tonight. One of the final cars to take time in the qualifying session, Freddie De La Rosa, one of our winners on the season in the 33 tonight, with Bobby Cheney lining up alongside in car 24. Starting in the 15th position is where you'll find Cody Miller, the winner from Daytona, trying to finally capture some of that early season magic that he had. And Tom Mercier, who's been on a bit of an up and down wave as of late, looking to try to capture a strong result here tonight at Darlington. He'll start the 68 and 16th. Sheldon Lockey in the 69 will roll off inside of row number 9 outside Jared Wishon, who's been very strong in his most recent starts in NORC. Going to come from back in 18th spot, though, at the drop of the green flag here in car 27. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be that of Zach Lindgren, all the way back in the 19th spot in car 85, outside Elijah Grazia back in action in car 42. He'll start 20th.
Only 4 more cars to go through this starting grid. We have the 57 of James Simmons, who starts 21st. The 89 of Sean Williams, who is outside in 22nd. And bringing up the final row of the grid, it'll be the 9 of Patrick Colby and the 53 of Michael Keithley. Those 4 have some work to do, but if they keep the cars clean, don't be surprised if they find their way into top 10 later in this race.
Boy, this is giving me flashbacks seeing the Darlington sunset here in the sim. Is pretty darn cool. It looked really cool, I gotta say, in person. This is such a special track. This is a track that everybody wants to win at, of course. And I mean, it goes without saying the importance of this track, I think, to NASCAR. This is just one of the, I don't know about crown jewel race. Well, certainly crown jewel races in the Southern 500, but just crown jewel tracks, I suppose, is a better way to put it here on iRacing, considering we don't have the Southern 500. This is just another round in the NORC iRacing series. So a little bit different in that regard, but still just as special. Everybody wants to win here at Darlington, and for good reason. One of those drivers that's going to be giving it a shot, of course, as he opens every NORC broadcast, is going to be Terrell Baker. He rolls off 9th this evening, so a pretty good starting spot for the driver of the 25 out of New York. And TCB, buddy, go ahead and take it away here.
All right, boys, here we are right here live at Darlington, the Lady in Black, known as the track Too Tough to Tame. Can I get a good old Too Tough to Tame? And yeah!
That was certainly one of the louder yee-haws we've had from TCB. Lap 1 of 147, just about in the books, passing the Darlington SC logo on the right side. Out of turn number 4, it's going to be all Daniel Falkingham across the line, picking up right where he left off.
Yeah, Falkingham and Herzeg nearly had it coming together down in turn 1. Here's the battle for third. David Schutt down on the inside in turn 1. Going to make the pass on Brett Pancari. That's going to check up Pancari a little bit. Tommy Gossett had to lift just behind. Now he's in danger of getting attacked from behind by TCB, who's chasing him down the backstretch, which had Oxendine in the yellow car looking for some running room down low.
Yeah, Tommy Gossett had started in second, and he just went on and dominated the MSRA Darlington race that we were going to cover on Friday night. He led all three, dominated all three stages, so he had a lot of confidence coming into today's race. And off the initial start, must have split the tires really badly, lost 3 or 4 spots heading into turn 1, and now can't even get it going in the right direction. They're heavy attack with PCB back here. We have Anthony Emery under attack from John Barry.
This just inside the top 10. John Barry looking to grab some points. Of course, as Dale Jarrett mentioned back in the Southern 500 broadcast on Sunday night, one thing that sets NASCAR apart from any other sport, Eric, in the playoffs specifically or at the chase, is that non-title contending drivers, non-title contending competitors, let's put it that way, can still compete against title contending competitors, and that shakes things up. That really makes it difficult, as of course down the backstretch of Darlington you always get that sun into turn 3, but that really makes it difficult for guys like John Barry who need all the points they can get. They've got to race guys like Anthony Emery who are not fighting for a championship. That makes points even harder to grab.
And we actually did have somebody come in the chase and kind of play the role of a spoiler in terms of Freddie De La Rosa back at Texas. He was one of the outsiders who came in and captured victory, and we've seen a number of names up towards the front. Remember TCB at Indy along with Ariati. You just mentioned Anthony Emery up in the top 10 here. There are chances for some of these drivers who don't have as much to lose, and that's going to be a pivotal role in terms of strategy. You mentioned coming into the night, these guys are limited on their sets of tires, so if somebody wants to gamble and maybe get off tilt or maybe save a set to late in the going, they got an opportunity. Somebody who is not having a good night, though, is Zach Lindgren, as he has already shown multiple laps down, and he is in the pit area.
Yeah, that's a clean 85 car. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Coming down the pit lane once again. This is on lap number 6, 4 laps down. We'll try to see what happens here to Zach Lindgren.
I believe it's a late start. I do also believe that potentially he's working through some technical issues. We'll leave him be, but the number 20 is still leading the way, going to complete lap number 6 of 147. Zoltan Hergzag in tow. Zoltan Hergzag, one of the few drivers in this field this evening that have won here before at Darlington in NORC competition, but I will say there's a longer list, I suppose, of drivers who have won here and are still racing than I would have expected. Guys like Freddie De La Rosa, guys like even, I gotta think, actually Daniel Falkingham's on the list, but John Barry, he's one of the others that surprised me. He has won here at Darlington. He is in the field. Daniel Falkingham, however, has not. Wonder if that experience maybe is going to change anything as these two do battle.
And right now, Hergzag is all over the back bumper of Falkingham here. The start of the race got my attention, guys. I saw there that Hergzag tried to keep the right front fender to the left rear of Daniel Falkingham's car going off into turn 1. Actually got the left sides down on the flat, which you can get away with it a little bit more in 3 and 4, not so much down in 1 and 2, as there's a little bit more banking. Believe it or not, that 2 degrees difference from that end of the racetrack towards the tighter side of the track in 3 and 4 does make a bit of a difference. And Hergzag played nice, and you know, granted there's a lot on the line here, but Hergzag is somebody who has this track kind of figured out, and despite the amount of pressure, they're keeping a pretty good distance in the tune of a little over a half second over David Shutt, while the battle for the lead remains pretty much just about as close as any battle we have throughout the top 10 right now.
Absolutely, and I mean, look who it is. It's, again, the top 2 drivers this season. Falkingham has been the class of the field, but Zoltan Hergzag, who hasn't been too far behind, and now Hergzag piles under pressure early here, and you'll see there in the 1, like you said, he's not using that apron like he did on the initial start of the race, and he's trying to get that diamond line, which is really what these drivers are starting to figure out. You enter low in 1, you go high, as opposed to being right on the bottom side of the racetrack at the apex, until you can use the hill as your advantage coming through turn 2 to get that run down the straightaway into the very tight turn 3, almost a braking zone. You might consider downshifting on old tires. I personally wouldn't, but I know some people who have, and here in the turn 1 once again, you can already see how much they have to lift, but look at how close they get to the wall.
These guys getting right up and rim riding around here. Oh, Zoltan Hergzag almost gets the wall to turn 2. One thing I noticed, sitting over outside of turn 4, is Denny Hamlin and a few others were able to keep the car up on the wall in the Southern 500. I'm not sure we're going to see that this evening, Eric. I don't think we're going to see these guys push it too close, especially not the championship contenders. Maybe if some others get in here, maybe if they get up into this battle for the lead, maybe they try and keep it right up on the wall through the entirety of turns 3 and 4, but that wall proximity model just doesn't quite work the same way as it does in real life, where you've got that cushion of air to lean the right rear on, and you can see, we'll see it again down here in turns 3 and 4, Eric. They enter a little bit lower. Even if they enter high, they generally exit lower off the wall. They turn down right here and use the hill to get them a little bit of legs up onto the straightaway.
Yeah, one other thing that, of course, we got to keep in mind here with these Xfinity-style cars, they do have a little bit less downforce, even though the Cup cars are running the high horsepower, a little lesser downforce. But these Xfinity cars are a little bit harder to handle, as we see a move going on here on the bottom portion of the top 10. And there's Freddie De La Rosa being able to utilize the flat upon entry to make an interesting move on Howie Briss. We also saw further back in the Bill Elliott throwback machine, the number 23 of Ariati. He washed up the racetrack big time and was kind of cut a bit of a break by the car behind him and Tom Mercier. Now Cole Freilich is working on Howie Briss, who appears to be struggling a little bit here. And we'll see if Ariati can do anything with Briss off turn 4.
And this is where it gets very, very difficult. You think you have the pace advantage, especially if somebody gets checked up like right there, Cole Freilich checking up Howie Briss, and Howie Briss does lift there. But most of the time, if a driver is not willing to give up that spot, and you'd be more willing to on lap 14 as opposed to maybe lap 114. But you have to go side by side into these corners. Usually the car on the bottom side is actually going to be the one that has to lift a little bit more to even make the corner not wash up to the car up above them. And it gets really hard to make these overtakes happen. You'll see a lot of give and take early as opposed to later here. And we'll see nearly 3 wide down the front straightaway. They'll think better of it. Back to 2 wide into 1.
One thing you'll notice is, especially early in the run, as Briss gets a bit of a Darlington stripe there on lap 15, one thing you'll notice earlier on in runs is these drivers will certainly cut each other a break. If somebody's caught them as, oh, that was Michael Keithley knocking the wall down out of turn number 2, he scrambles to the inside, lets Elijah Gracia by, and that's a great way to illustrate what I'm trying to point out. These drivers will cut each other a break. They will certainly give a lot more than they'll take here early at Darlington because they know how risky it can be to try and take. So, if they get caught, if somebody drives up to them as Tom Mercier looks to the inside of Freilich, up the track they both go. I think Freilich got a piece of the fence. He's going to let Tom go right there. If somebody drives to them, they're more likely in these early stages to let somebody go than to fight.
And I want to tip my cap here as Ariati uses all of the apron with all 4 tires there entering turn 3 to try to get around Cole Freilich, but we see the momentum that the high side offers, and Freilich's going to keep the nose up top and prevent Ariati from making that pass, which he's going to be able to cement here down in turn 1. But I want to tip my cap to these NORC drivers because we've seen them throughout this season, as we've already gone, knock on wood, 17 laps clean to kick off this race. This is a track where you would normally see many other leagues have problems as far as getting into a bit of a rhythm. And if we look back at some of these tough tracks that the NORC Series has run on this season, like a Dover, like an Indianapolis, not the road course, the Oval, they have been able to put together some relatively clean races considering the circumstances and characteristics that those venues have to offer. And the level of respect that is shown between these drivers across this field has been impeccable this year. And I was curious how the start of this race was going to go, but I'm with you guys. I think as we get later in the race, the take element's going to become a lot more aggressive than the give we're seeing early on here. But so far, everybody's been able to mind their manners here. And we've also started to see Falkingham stretch the gap back to Herczeg out front of the field.
You know what I've noticed of Zoltan Herczeg is he's kind of walked the car up a little bit higher through turn 4. Maybe it was a mistake that last time around, but a couple times he's not exiting as low in turn 4, maybe trying to find some advantage to Falkingham, but to no avail as Falkingham just walks that gap right away from Zoltan Herczeg.
Saw right there, a bit of a pass there from Freddie De La Rosa getting on by Terrell Banker. After his yeehaw, man, it has not been a great start to this race, dropping back a little ways, and you can see he started okay, 9th. He only gained 1 spot off the start, but now starting to drop back to 10th, and I think he's going to start dropping a little further back. TCB is a guy that everybody knows is a little bit aggressive. He certainly is a bit of a showman, and I would not be surprised if here soon Tom Mercier gets the better of him. And he's right there down the backstretch. Mercier is going to look, and I'm pretty sure TCB is going to give that one up, giving that spot up to Tom maybe in 3. No, fighting a little more than I thought he would, but ultimately the pass is complete. Maybe thinks about going back around the outside, and the nice thing is that I notice here on TCB's machine, that's a throwback technically to Dale Earnhardt and the Tasmanian Devil Goodwrench number 3 car, but it's almost a bit of a throwback to Justin Allgaier, isn't it, with those good humor colors as he nails the wall in 1. I shouldn't say nails the wall, scrubs the wall in 1. The more proper Dale Earnhardt throwback is up here running in 2nd. Zoltan Herczeg has got Tasmanian Devil on his hood.
I absolutely love this layout, this scheme, of course, that, I mean, one of the first Daytona 500s that I watched as a child was when Dale Earnhardt ran this car in the year 2000, and It's certainly a beautiful look, and that's one of the things about these throwback races and events and weekends and trends that, you know, just allows all of us a chance to look back, and it also gives us a peek inside the mindset of a number of these drivers as far as who they pulled for when they were younger. We see Anthony Emery here. That's a throwback to a scheme in which Elliott Sadler ran the NASCAR Xfinity Series, then Nationwide Series, for a number of years, and he actually had success and captured top honors in a race that was held at Darlington many years ago. That came after, of course, being taken out in an accident. So the beauty of some of these paint schemes in terms of the creativity behind it and the reasoning behind some of these drivers electing to go the route in which they do is, in my opinion, a very fun and fascinating storyline to follow. Maybe not as interesting as the on-track action we're seeing between that of the likes of David Shutt and Chad Oxendine, who's been on the move, but certainly something that we're going to keep our eyes on and perhaps ask some of these drivers, should they place well in tonight's races. This battle rages off turn 4. Whoa, that was tight, as Oxendine almost caught Shutt there off the corner.
Pancari has an issue behind, and that was crazy. I can't believe they didn't come together there. I thought they were certainly going to make some contact there out of turn 4, but I think Shutt lifted and gave Oxendine that opportunity to clear up into that third position, right on board with Anthony Emery, steadily moving his way forward into the top 5. He eyes P4 up ahead from the 5 of David Shutt, and right up against that wall, you'll see them walk it right down the hill once again. And again, the real passing zone, we've seen a lot already in the first 25 laps, has been there in the turn number 3. You kind of set it up into 1. If you get alongside somebody, you can send it into 1 maybe, but really it's been into turn 3 and forcing the other guy to lift as you make these overtakes. And we're not 25 laps into this run. If you're show.
Small production hiccup there. I think we're back. Boy, what a sunset out of turn 4. I do want to mention a couple of drivers had a little bit extra practice coming into this evening, those being Chad Oxendine and Anthony Emery. Oxendine placed 17th in the Retro 500 put on by Podium Esports last night, and I'm looking for Anthony's result. I know he was up there in the running, but you know what? He finished 4th. Anthony Emery finished 4th last night in NASCAR 1987 Cup cars against some of iRacing's best. I'm just going to put it that way. Against Garrett Maines, for example. eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series driver for Elliott Sadler, as the first caution flag is upon us this evening. Not sure exactly where this is coming from. James Simmons is slow on the track, but he's got no damage. Zach Lindgren is the only other driver a lap down. My gut tells me it might be Cody Miller. He's the only driver that is, I guess, further back. At least he's last in line. So we'll go ahead and take a look, obviously, for the cause of this yellow. But again, a couple of drivers with some extra practice going into this evening got a pretty good run at Darlington last night.
And Cody Miller running one of the Supers that we were very excited at the kickoff of the season for him to have in the arsenal, as we haven't seen the Xfinity Series portion of NORC. Granted, the NORC Series kind of switches things up year to year, so we haven't gotten to see the Super body before 2021. And saw Miller get up there and catch the wall. I'm curious if we're going to see the incident that may have slowed the field here and put us up to caution involving potentially Daytona winner Cody Miller, but that time the yellow flag was out, so Miller may not have necessarily been the culprit for us to slow the field here. But we do see some pretty significant damage to, I believe that was Howie Briss, who got into the wall a couple of times here tonight already. And it appears as though the struggles for one of the drivers who was one of the last to get into the chase may have continued, and there was a puff of smoke up ahead of that car. So we may have to rewind the tape. Perhaps Sheldon Lockey was the one who had problems?
All shall be answered here very, very shortly. This will be an overhead. This is Elijah Gracia. Ahead of him is going to be an interesting side-by-side with Cole Freilich and Sean Williams. There it is. Oh, my goodness. And Sean Williams, somebody who needs a good run around early with some damage there to the nose and right side of that car. Get another look at things.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, that's a couple of my favorite throwbacks that we see getting involved in incidents there. Cole Freilich has run the throwback Dave Blaney entry before, and of course, Sean Williams, that's a livery, or a paint scheme, I should say, minus the white wheels, of course, that Terry Labonte went on to win the 2003 Southern 500. And this is a couple of cars that are racing pretty hard here. Williams gets a good run off of turn 4 alongside of Cole Freilich as they get down here. This is where things get really, really tight. and neither driver wanted to lift, and Williams washes up into the driver's side door of Cole Freilich, and they both go up into the wall. It looks like that it was Williams who did not want to get off the loud pedal there in a turn one and just could not keep that car low enough to avoid contact, and it slows the field for the first time on lap 27.
Two aggressive drivers going for the same piece of real estate. 27 laps into a race when that contact happened, and unfortunately both of them have severe damage in a series with no fast repairs. The competitive night's most likely over, just because of how difficult these cars are to drive when they're clean. Add some damage to them, and they're not going to be pretty things to drive by any means.
Yeah, that incident just being a matter of guys battling in a turn one, and that's something we're going to watch over the course of the evening. Darlington didn't always have this kind of racing. In fact, it was actually a lot harder back in the opening days here, when the very outside was not actually meant for racing. And of course, I'm sure this story has been circulated. I'm sure a lot of you guys have already heard this before. But the higher groove at Darlington with extra banking was meant as a safety lane. They were supposed to race on the flat part of the racetrack down there, and then drivers figured out that it was faster to race in the safety lane. So that ended up being the groove, and over the course of time, that got widened out a little bit, and it became a more usable racing lane. You can see now that is the dominant line. If you go down below those dotted dashes, whatever you want to call them, you're going to have a bad day. Daniel Falkingham, your race leader, looks like caution lights have been extinguished, and Emerson and I were talking about strategy earlier, and we pretty much concluded these drivers had to at least go 50 laps on a set of tires. Well, that plan is suddenly out of the window. We're not even 30 laps in, and these drivers are likely taking tires already. I mean, we've seen 14.6, 14.0, 14.7, 14.1, 14.9. The timed pit stops out of the top 5 now. So I would expect these drivers have all taken tires on this opening yellow, and that is going to change strategy up quite a good bit. The Lobster 207 First Rate Bait Motorsports, number 20. Again, the throwback there to Greg Sachs. Going to bring us back to the green. And out of turn number 4, Daniel Falkingham is going to wait on his chance to get this race restarted. These guys have until about the restart zone. There we go. Green flag back out at Darlington. We're off and away once again. David shot hard in the wall. Everybody scatters. I think we're going to stay green, but just barely. 3 wide at a turn 3. Jared Washon in the middle. Tom Mercier scattered. TCB as well. Somehow we stay green. Elijah Gracia in the fence behind.
I think the big winner there was Freddie De La Rosa. He went way to the bottom and kept his foot in it, and I think he's going to move close to it, perhaps even crack the top 5 while it all was going on behind Daniel Falkingham, who nurses about a 3-car length lead off turn 2. After everybody was able to survive the chaotic restart, you see on the ticker, De La Rosa is in 6th spot, but that was a huge hit for Schutt, while we got some heavy hitters, including that of early race runner-up Zoltan Herzeg, mired back in this hornet's nest.
Yeah, absolutely. Zoltan Herzeg, he caught that outside while there's already a little bit of right front damage and nearly up against the wall. Not in that wall right there as he'll pass Tommy Gossett down the front straightaway. It had some damage. I'd assume he elected to repair that damage early as opposed to later and try to see if he can fight his way back up to the field with an already ill-handling race car. And that's going to put Zoltan Herzeg behind the 8 ball. Once again, here right on board with David Schutt, who has a lot of right front damage, right side damage, after catching the wall on the restart of this race, and a very commendable effort from the entire field to miss David Schutt, along with David Schutt for not ricocheting into traffic.
Yeah, that was a good bit of wreck avoidance from the old NASCAR video games that it turned to on that restart. David Schutt, you see all the damage to his right side as TCB gets the fence in front of him, scrubs it, gets a little bit sideways. But that's the kind of hit that you'll take at Darlington as opposed to how hard David hit it. That's a hit that can usually damage your car quite a different way. You're in quite a few different ways. There we go. You don't have to deal with as much hub damage or wheel damage you might have seen in earlier NASCAR games, but here in iRacing, what you do really have to be concerned about is, more often than not, motor damage, engine damage. These cars, when you put the clutch in, Eric, they rev it, they idle at a certain RPM as he's going to go on by TCB here. I'm sure David Shutt, when he gets a free chance to, is going to put the clutch in, see where that motor idles, and that generally is pretty well telling of how much damage you've got. It's something that most avid iRacers know. A lot are still learning, and I certainly would not expect anybody not on the sim regularly to know. So that's what a lot of these drivers check for when they get caution flags, to see if they have engine damage. They put the clutch in, they see where the motor idles, and that tells them if they have damage or not.
Well, I just learned something today, because that was something that I never knew as far as the sim. And again, for those of you who maybe watch for the first time, I don't get to spend a lot of time on the sim, as a matter of fact, but I do, in fact, enjoy not only these NORC races, these broadcasts, but any form of racing, whether it be real life or on the sim, because of moments like this. Chad Oxendine, two-time winner on the season, known as a short track expert, but also went out at Homestead Miami Speedway earlier this season and won there, a track where you can normally see drivers up against the wall like here at Darlington, is pressuring the points leader and 2021 win leader Daniel Falkingham for the lead. He appears to be able to roll that car through the center of the corner a little bit better and try to maintain pace with Falkingham on corner exit, as Oxendine is proving to have something for the driver we thought may dominate tonight, but so far has yet to be able to shake Oxendine.
The only thing I can say here is that Oxendine is really close to the rear end there, Falkingham, and that's not going to be doing any favors for the right front tire, as Zoltan Herczeg is off the pace in turn 2.
Problems for Herczeg. He's going to get taken 3 wide as Simmons drops down low. The 96 car has got big problems, drops way back. I mean, he just lost about 7, maybe 8 positions. Drops into 21st position now. The only car behind him on the lead lap is Michael Keithley, sitting in 22nd and just a couple of tenths behind. James Simmons passing him, and actually in front of him is a couple of laps down as they really check up. Patrick Colby to the inside of Cole Freilich, and that was close. They might make contact at a 2. They don't, as Simmons lifts for Colby, and Zoltan Herczeg gets a whale of a hit in on the back end of the Aaron's Dream Machine.
This has been a pretty intense last couple of laps for the driver who at one point was second in this race, all over the backside of his championship combatant in Daniel Falkingham, and he's now mired back in a couple of ill-handling cars after he struggled to get through the field, did that of Herczeg, and he now is going to try to make a move underneath Cole Freilich, who lifted momentarily because Patrick Colby slid up in front of him. Herczeg and Freilich going to come very close to getting together, and there's a car on the wall behind him. That's Keithley with the sliding save.
Big damage. I cannot believe that Freilich and Herczeg did not make contact there, as look at this car gets into the wall right here, coming off of turn 4. And you'll see that a lot. It's Michael Keithley again with a plain white car here, and Zoltan Herczeg trying to find his way back to at least where he was running. Right now he's in the 19th position. He still has some work to do to get back to where he was at the restart. And I mean, Herczeg has got a tall mountain to climb if he's going to get back anywhere near the top 5.
Well, it's certainly not as tall of a mountain as Zach Lindgren currently has. 4 laps down. Yeah, it's going to be a rough day for him. I'm not sure if he's going to get those laps back, as Cody Miller is going to go to the outside of Sean Williams and look for that spot and take that spot away from Sean. The couple of SW Cephei machines battling. Usually Sean's channel would be featured on the side of his car, but it's always featured on the side of Cody Miller's car. SW Cephei being Sean Williams' YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, there's a lot of great content that goes out over there. He also, of course, streams all of his races that he does, as Elijah Gracia is dropping back a lot of damage on his number 42. Remember, he checked up for that caution that happened up ahead of him, Eric, but I didn't see him take any damage, so that's just a lot of damage from everything else.
Yeah, and we may see a lot of cars that end up looking like that when the night is over. And just in front of him, I want to give a tip of the cap to Zach Lindgren for staying with it. He had a late start to this race. He's now shown 4 laps down, but he remains on the racetrack. You're now looking out the backside of Lindgren's number 85, now out the front of that number 85 car. And, every time I see someone who maybe doesn't get off on the right foot and somehow finds a way to keep themselves in the game somehow, despite being perhaps out of contention, I think it's something worth noting. It says a lot about this young driver, his level of sportsmanship, and who knows, if we get a bit of yellow fever and he remains the first car more than 1 lap down, as Simmons is well off the pace, 13 laps off the leader, maybe he could work his way back up on the lead lap and try to salvage the night. But he's definitely learning a lot here tonight for sure by staying with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think this is more a, just for fun. I personally enjoy driving a lot of cars here at Darlington, just because it's a fun track to drive, and I'd imagine, to stick with it, see if you can get that break. If it was, a race like last week where you can get a bunch of yellows in your favor, you might be sitting pretty. And here we got, this is Tom Mercier trying to look to the inside here of Sheldon Lockie for 9th. Lockie holds station on the high side through turn 4, and he'll make it work. He'll now try to gap down the straightaway and try to hold off Tom Mercier's attacks into turn 3 once again.
A lot less side-by-side racing in this line than I would have imagined. This is just a line of cars from Freddie De La Rosa in 6th down through Terrell Baker, who we're on board with in 12th, who hits the wall at turn 2. He's going to lose a lot of time to Brett Pincari, but he's got a pretty good space back to Howie Briss. And that would be for 13th, who actually loses a spot to Tommy Gossett, who now moves in front of the 97 car. So Tommy Gossett up 1 position and into 13th. But this line of cars here battling from 6th, as I mentioned, all the way down to 12th, as Tom Mercier suddenly has lost a lot of spots in this little line. He was just behind Jared Wishon, who is currently in 8th. So he was in front of Sheldon Locke. He loses a couple of positions there. Now in front of Terrell Baker. My point is, these guys in a line just figuring each other out and getting into a long run kind of mentality. We saw a lot of side-by-side at Darlington over the weekend, but it's a lot more difficult with thick setups there to drop down onto that first lane of the apron right below the dotted white line. And in the real NASCAR races, of course, those drivers are set up in pretty good stock cars with pretty good setups underneath them that are set up to handle that kind of thing, as Tom Mercier lifts center of the corner, lets DCB go by. Next will be Tommy Gossett coming up behind him. But these guys can't get down there quite as easily. We've seen it a couple of times. These guys have tried. The car won't handle it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that once we get to this point in the race, remember the first caution came out on lap 27. We're now 20 laps removed from there, 100 laps to go, make that 99 laps to go as the leaders hit the stripe. I think we're also starting to see some of the guys who may have really good long-run cars that knows who are struggling once they eclipse that 15 to 20 lap range. And Daniel Falkingham is one of them who we watched him fend off Herczeg, watched him fend off Oxendine. Now he's starting to open up that gap. We'll check in on the leader right here. He's starting to open up that gap again. Last time we checked in, Oxendine was only about 4/10 off, and he starts to gap the field right here. And we start to see some of the competition, start to slide back and not maybe manage their tires properly, and especially knowing that they're limited in the fashion that they are. And we don't really know when the cautions are going to fly. There's only 2/3 of this race left to go. Falkingham is just putting himself in position perhaps to cash in on yet another victory tonight, because nobody seems to have the same long-run speed as he does right now.
Absolutely, and Falkingham, could really pace himself early into runs with how difficult it is to overtake here. Oxenden had no other choice but to try to find his way around him and potentially wear out his stuff. And here's now Anthony Emery trying to see if he can get an advantage here out of Chad Oxenden, who might have burnt up his stuff trying to find a way around the 20 car, especially in the dirty air here. Now he has nearly 2 seconds back to Falkingham. The air is much more cleaner for Oxenden, but at what cost here for Anthony Emery to try to find his way around the 66?
Anthony Emery working on the 66 car. This would be for the 2nd position. And I mentioned these two drivers, Oxendine and Emery, they are the two that took part in the Retro 500 last night on Podium Esports. And there was one other driver that races on Pit Stop TV that took part, that being Zachary Murtis, that I hung out with actually at Darlington. But these two drivers have all the laps last night, all the laps in the qualifying races, all the laps in preparation, and this is one of the rare opportunities, Eric, where these drivers had official races to run to prepare for this race. Usually, the NORC iRacing Series schedule is a bit arbitrary, it seems, but it's set up by Revan, John Barry, the league owner, and it's just set up to be its own thing. It's not meant to co-align with NASCAR schedules. In this case, this week it does. Fits right in with the Labor Day weekend. In fact, yesterday was Labor Day, and it fits perfectly. Everybody had a week of racing to prepare for this race, including, of course, in the case of Oxendine and Emery, the Retro 500. These guys are well-oiled. They're prepared.
It's showing. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, as they would say. And I also think that, we were tipping our cats on the speed that Daniel Falkingham has had on the long run. Anthony Emery is in that category. John Berry is getting faster and faster as the run goes on. And same thing with Ariati, who has shown flashes of brilliance, just usually doesn't have the result to show for it. He's that fourth car in line there, just entering the midway portion of the back straightaway, and he too is starting to enter the frame. So, you know, maybe we're talking about tire conservation. We're on board with Ariati here off turn 4. You know, maybe we just haven't seen some of these drivers flex their full muscle yet, knowing how long this race is. It may not be a 500-miler like what we all watched on Sunday night, or in Andrew's case, all went to on Sunday night. But there's still a bit of patience required to make it to the end of these races because of how grueling this venue can be. And right now, everybody in the top 5 and more are doing just that. I'll even, you know, Luke Freddie De La Rosa in that mix as well. I don't think that he's shown us everything he has just yet.
You know, absolutely. I was in one of those official sessions with Ariati earlier this week. He lit up the timing charts. I know that guy is fast around this place. He knows how to wheel one of these cars around here, and he's definitely showing it the way he's worked his way through the field from the midfield into the top 5, and he still has some more. I think there's some more tire left on that 23 to work his way even more forward. He's kind of just babying the car now at this point. There's not a whole lot of tire left on this racetrack, to be quite honest with you, but at this point of a run, you're really going to see the drivers who know what they're doing in these Xfinity cars. They're so difficult to keep tires under them and to keep these cars pointed in the right direction at all times. At Darlington of all places, again, huge props to the drivers who can really keep a car going in the right direction at a high rate of speed at Darlington for this many laps.
Things are looking pretty solid here in the mid-run, if you will. I think we're about halfway through what we expect for these drivers to run in one consecutive green flag run. Daniel Falkingham continues to lead now by almost 2 seconds. While these drivers continue working their way through this second run of the day, we're going to take a step aside and go side by side at Pit Stop TV. You won't miss a thing.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room.
Welcome you back from a slightly extended side-by-side break to the Darlington Raceway, the virtual Darlington Raceway anyways. As you can see, Jared Washon watching a heck of a battle that we've just watched under that quick break. Brett Pancari, David Schutt doing battle at the Lady in Black, and they're going to do it one more time at a turn 3.
Let's not forget that on the restart for the lap 27 caution, David Schutt got into the wall hard. That car actually ricocheted off the side of this outside retaining wall off turn 2. Oh my, that's about as close as you can get without touching as they race down the front straightaway, still fighting hard for this position. Are they going to make it through turns 1 and 2?
Man, oh man, hard side-by-side racing. 40-plus laps into Pancari gets the wall. Here comes Washon trying to take that 8th position away. Pancari trying to hold station down the back straight. Washon will clear down into turn number 3. But again, very commendable effort from these drivers to keep it clean for as long as they did side-by-side at this age of tire.
And suddenly that opens the door for Tommy Gossett. He's in the 10th position. Recently moving into the top 10 is the driver out of Tennessee and is looking for 9th if he can get by Brett Pancari.
And I got to say, we're talking about throwback schemes and everything. Let's just take a moment to acknowledge the car in which Tommy Gossett is running, as we all know that this coming Saturday will be the 20-year anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And I want to tip my cap, of course, to Tommy for taking a moment to recognize that with this car. As a New York native, it was a horrible day for so many all around the country and even around the world, as a matter of fact. And for Tommy to elect this night, where many have paid homage to favorite throwback schemes and other elements of the motorsports, Tommy elected to take this time to reflect on the terrible events that took place 20 years ago this Saturday. So from a non-biased perspective, I hope that Tommy can keep that car in one piece and give it a good run tonight. Right now he's rounding out our top 10 and watching the madness unfold in front of him in that fight that is now 3 cars deep for 7th on back. It's about to be a 4-car battle.
Down the front stretch, this will wrap up lap 67, I believe, for these drivers. Now on lap 68, the leader being so far ahead gets them onto that lap a little bit sooner. These drivers, in fact, are about 12.5 seconds behind race leader Daniel Falkingham, and that's getting closer and closer, Emerson, to being about a half a lap. With that in mind, as Jared Washon is going to bow out of this battle and try and get in front of, nope, that's not going to work. Not going to get back in front of Tommy Gossett quite like that, so he loses another spot. That promotes Tommy up to 9th. And now he'll work on 8th. As you can see, Zoltan Herzeg is joining these guys. But let's talk about a bit of a strategy here, Emerson. We talked a little bit in our little side-by-side break what these drivers might do. And I still think these drivers will go a little bit further on, maybe an extra 20 laps from here if they can manage it, and try and use that lap 30-ish yellow to try and go at the end on just one more stop. What say you?
Yeah, so, from the drop of the green, we were thinking it was going to be a very tough one stop. It can go about 70, 80 laps on fuel if you push it at Darlington, maybe. But now with that lap 30L, it made it all the more easier. Not to say that it's easy by any means, but easier than what it was, as Pancari now falls back behind Tommy Gossett. Tommy Gossett making his move forward there in 8th. But, yeah, I think now that the one stop is a much more viable option here from lap 30 yellow to... say you pit at lap 90 to split the rest of the race in half. I think a lot of these drivers are going to be going for that. But now, if you're planning on short pitting at that, you'll probably use a little bit more tire now, as you plan to maybe save some tire later, maybe play some defense if you short pit at that lap 90 threshold or thereabouts. Or if you try to go long there and try to have fresher tires for the last stint of the race, then we could see maybe some that give and take not be so prevalent throughout the field.
There you have it, Emerson Arden's expert analysis of what we might see these drivers do as Pancari he's going to watch a side-by-side battle. Gossett on Schutt, puts him in the fence! He just put David Schutt square in the wall. He gets the spot, but at what cost? David Schutt going to drop down into the 9th position, and that will be one that he remembers. David Schutt will not forget that, as now Pancari maybe going to do the same. No, Schutt gets it back. Schutt is seeing red, and it's not just on its hood.
That was I was holding my breath there because I just said that I want Gossett to keep that car in one piece. He almost did not, and almost took David Shutt with him as Bashan got sideways off the corner. Now Pancari's going to try to pull a bit of a slider here. Not quite up alongside just yet as they'll race side by side off the corner. We talk about give and take, guys, as we hit the halfway point. We can see that balance starting to shift a little bit here in this fight in the top 10.
Yeah, David Shutt hasn't had the best of days thus far. Already gotten to the wall on the restart of this race, and then getting bodied by a non-championship competitor. There, this lane to a run has got to really hurt. Zoltan Hertzeg looking to take advantage of that as well now. In the turn number 3, right up against the rear end there of David Shutt. Hertzeg trying to find Dave, and the Shutt get the wall there.
Maybe, maybe not, but he is not going to let this spot go. He is not happy with the driver out of his windshield. He wants to get back up there to Tommy Gossett and at least fight for that spot. Not going to say that he would do anything, maybe, I guess, not nice, if you will, but he would certainly go up there and battle right now with Tommy Gossett and would give him heck, if you will. Pancari now going to watch as Zoltan Hertzeg goes ahead and gives it another go to the inside. The slide job not quite clear. Couldn't take it away from the 5 car, but maybe on corner exit he can do something so close to each other once again. And I had the pleasure of sitting there right out of the exit of turn 4, and I happened to see when Bubba Wallace, Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott all made contact, and that cut Chase Elliott's tire. I can tell you, turn 4 narrows up quite quickly, and it will catch a driver out very, very easily. They're coming up here on Cole Fralick, who has gone 1 lap down in the Dave Blaney Amico number 15 throwback, and Cody Miller is the only other driver to have gone 1 lap down under green flag competition so far. Problems for Pancari. He's pitting. Never mind. Not problems, but he's pitting.
Pancari's going to be one of the first cars to test out what was going to be my next talking point. This is probably right up there with Dover as far as one of the most difficult pit lanes to get on under green. The racing groove is about 2.5 lanes as Patrick Golby looks like he's coming off the pit lane here, but this racing groove is about 2.5 lanes off the outside retaining wall. And that means that the bottom of the racetrack is what collects all the dirt, dust, rubber, marbles, whatever. And that really makes getting onto the pit lane and down to pit road speed, albeit while turning through turn 4 in order to try to slow that car down and running through all that dirty stuff. It makes it very difficult. It makes it easy to miss the entrance to the pit road, and it makes it very easy to speed. We will see if everybody's able to execute these potential green flag pit stops without a problem. And you definitely want to stop early because the swing in tires could be a big benefit.
Absolutely. You're going to get a massive advantage, especially if you get clean air right now. Massive advantage to you if you can get out there. And I think Brett Pancari has wrecked it on the front straightaway on cold tires.
Brett Pancari slow on the back stretch. Used to be the front stretch. Pancari, I think, might be just about done. The 35 Princess Daisy machine looking a bit injured and slowly going to come back around to the pit lane. One thing to keep in mind here with these drivers pitting about this point in the race, this is likely a move for a two-stop strategy for the rest of these drivers. Let's take a look at what happens to Brett Pancari on pit exit. This is a great call out by Emerson Arden, but it is going to be at a turn number 2. Pancari gasses it up, and it's going to be right about where the pit exit cone is. There, he has trouble.
Yeah, we mentioned the benefits of having tires, but this is not what we were hoping for someone like Pancari, who loses it on the exit of turn number 2 while getting that car up in the 4th gear. Pancari is someone who was having a relatively quiet but somewhat successful chase. He was 6th in the standings, did not change positions after the variable that was Bristol Dirt. We, of course, remember his 1 win at Auto Club Speedway earlier in the season, but he had a problem as we now check in on Howie Briss, who is another one of the championship contenders, currently 11th of the 12 drivers. Will Klein not in the field tonight. So Briss is at the bottom of the barrel as far as active chase drivers racing tonight at Darlington. He, too, has come off the pit lane after his stop.
And you saw there the car bobble as it went over those seams coming off the pit exit. And look at him dart down to the bottom side here to get that run down the front straightaway. You're going to see the advantage on tires be displayed right here. But back to the pit exit, like you said, Eric, that's where all the the debris and dirt of the racetrack gets collected down the bottom side of the racetrack, and it's just so uneven. It's not raced down there, and it's very slippery. Add cool tires to that as well. You're going to see a lot of these drivers have to battle with that pit exit. I think the most logical. Oh, car to one, it's Hertzeg, and in contact with Sean.
Hertzeg gets the wall hard. He's got problems. I think he's going to come in and pit. I don't know that he's just lost a tire, but if there is, you know what? That left front looks low. I doubt that it would be the left front that would go on a long run, but that left front did look like it was dropping to the track for a moment, and usually that's a telltale sign on iRacing. You won't see the tire tear up and shred, but if a driver does lose a tire, it will drop into the track a little bit. I think he's okay. I think that's just a mistake. Pounds the wall at a turn 2, catches Jared Wishon, and this is not at all the day that Zoltan Hertzeg needed if he wanted to fight for the championship. Eric, we have not talked about the chase much, but the way this is going, with about 50 laps to go and a little bit of change, I'm almost ready to say that Daniel Falkingham has about clinched it. Almost. We're still a little ways away, but almost.
Yeah, math is by far not my strong suit, so I'm going to leave that in the hands of not only you, but the officials as well, as we see Bobby Chaney on the pit lane. But with all the close calls that we're seeing, I think I'm understanding the method to the madness of Falkingham staying out. I mean, he does not want to get caught out by a yellow. When we've seen cars wreck coming off the pit lane, we've seen cars wreck getting close to their pit window. We've seen cars have close encounters and close calls off the corner on old tires. And we've seen it happen to the best of them, like Zoltan Hertzeg, who rejoins the field entering turn 3. So there's a lot of elements to consider here, as Zach Lindgren is now off the pace on the front straightaway. He's going to pull over and let a lot of these drivers go by. So there's a lot taking place here right now in this race, where if I'm Falkingham, I'm going to stay out until I absolutely have to come, and then we'll hopefully reap the reward of having the freshest tires of the bunch.
Absolutely, and Falkingham, he had the gap to do so anyway. I say that, but Oxenite's actually closed the gap down from what it was 2 seconds down to 1 second on Daniel Falkingham. They're on board with Zach Lindgren here, working his way through 3 and 4, but Falkingham is not at the pace that we were seeing earlier, and is being reeled in by Chad Oxendine very late in this run.
Slowly but surely, but I think the damage is already done. Even if it's a second place for Daniel Falkingham and that Greg Sachs throwback, it's just been a really good day for him. Take a look at the stats so far. He's led 85 laps. Guys, that's every single lap. We've not seen a change atop the leaderboard yet today. The damage is already done if you're if you're anybody else in the field, really. As the laps are 2:07, first rate Bait Motorsports, number 20, works off of turn number 2. Even if Chad gets there, even if Chad makes the pass, I think that'll be when you see Daniel pit. We're into this window now where it's a one stop to the end. These guys have gone further than they have to go at this point. We're sitting at 51 to go, 50 to go when they get back to the stripe as Zoltan Hertzeg forces on by Daniel Falkingham. You can see how much new tires mean, but yeah, we're closer to the end than we are to their most recent pit, which was under that yellow, as Zoltan Hertzeg, taking a page out of Kyle Larson's book, rides the wall.
He got up into the wall hard there, and I think he's trying to get everything that he can out of this fresh set that they just bolted on after the big contact and scare off of turn 2.
This isn't...
He's in the wall again. What is going on with Hertzeg here, as Falkingham is looking on, wondering, should I get even closer to that car if I can? Because Hertzeg is pushing a little bit too hard here.
I think these are last-ditch efforts from Hertzeg. He's not liking the handling of the car as it gets into the wall again in the turn 3. This is so unlike Zoltan Hertzeg, struggling with his race car on lap 88 of 147 here at Darlington.
This is a driver that's just upset. I mean, he is going into each corner with the idea of hitting the wall. He's not trying to turn in. This is just a driver that's upset with the day he's had. And I hate to just sit here and judge a driver's character, but when you're the reigning champion and you're fighting for a championship, you still have a chance. This isn't cool to see.
I'm a little bit upset more so that he's doing it in front of the driver who's not only the points leader, but is also leading this race. There is a lot of ramifications here should this trend that he is trying to set go awry. And I'm not necessarily sure of the constant prerogative of this and how long it's actually going to continue and what it's going to do to the gap that Falkingham was trying to set at the front of the pack. So this is a bizarre set of circumstances that we'll keep our eyes on here, but it does not appear to be ending anytime soon, as this is, what, the third or fourth lap that we're seeing this bit of shenanigans take place. So every time that we've had a chance to talk to Zoltan, he appears to be pretty level-headed, mellow. Never quite saw him in this capacity or in this nature, but this appears to be the game plan going forward.
Well, we'll go ahead and we'll take a moment and let him do his thing. If we get a yellow, we get a yellow. But Tommy Gossett's on the pit lane, and he's one of the last of the top 10. There's still about 7 drivers, 6 drivers, 5 drivers as we see more drivers work in. We got David Schutt, Tom Mercier joining the pit lane this time. Tommy Gossett, already mentioned him. Sean Williams continues to go. Let's see, who else has pitted recently? Freddie De La Rosa has come in. Ariati has come in. Jared Wishon has just left the pits. Most of the field is pitted at this point. Just a few drivers, mostly in the top 10, mostly in the top 5 even, that are waiting to come in. Those being Daniel Falkingham, Chad Oxendine, Anthony Emery, and John Barry.
Now, we do see that gap to Falkingham coming down as now lap traffic is getting in the mix. Just further up the road was out of Herczeg. Now we see Falkingham kind of getting a little bit bounced around by Cole Freilich. Here comes Howie Briss on new tires around Chad Oxendine. He's in between the top 2, so we're watching these cars stretch it to as long as they could. Falkingham, Oxendine and company, and having some of these somewhat slower or iller or not so well handling race cars getting up and in the mix, it could kind of put a bit of an egg beater to the game plan or the agenda that they had set forth, and maybe will force their hand to come down a little bit early. I'll tell you what, if I'm Chad Oxendine, I definitely want to get to the pit lane a lap or 2 earlier than Falkingham. Let me reap the rewards of those fresh tires, and maybe it'll chew up this 4/10 of a second deficit that I'm seeing and get me the lead, and then all I got to do is play defense until it equalizes.
Absolutely. I think even a 1-lap short pit would be more than enough for Oxendine to leapfrog Daniel Falkin and potentially take the race lead, as here comes John Barry into 74. He's going to bring in the 89 of Sean Williams as well on lap 94 of 147. This run to the end, and the leaders are coming in as well.
After a bit of a rough start for Sean, that was looking pretty up as these two come in on the same lap. So that potential advantage for Chad Oxendine, throw it out the window. He's going to have to find a way to go on by Daniel Falkingham straight up. He's just got to go up there and pass him at this point, and he's got to make sure he nails this pit stop first of all. You can see both these drivers leaning left a little bit, coming up to their box. Now, NASCAR would police these drivers and make them stay to the right as they are now, but in iRacing, you can move over to the left a little bit, that merging lane. You don't have to stay in the taxi lane quite so much. Oxendine into his box, and here comes Falkingham into his box. Hold on. I have something a little special to show everybody here on the 20 car, and we have the time that we can do it. I gotta show the pit sign here for Daniel Falkingham. It's gonna come up towards the top of the screen. Be ready for it here in just a moment. Let's slow it down. Let's slow it down some more. Look up at the top. Daniel Falkingham, sponsored by Lobster 207, and he's got a lobster waving to him as he comes in to take the pit stop. After the pit stop, these drivers both getting back onto the racetrack, and I can tell you Falkingham still has the lead, and the lead has grown.
It's incredible what Falkingham's been able to do. By the way, as a man who got home from work about 10 minutes before this broadcast, a little bit of lobster and a little bit of summer shandy sounds like the best idea following a NORC broadcast. I think I'm going to make that a trend thanks to those two. Anthony Emery, one of the few that has yet to stop. He was, in fact, the leader, so there goes the idea of Falkingham going wire to wire. As Emerson Arden pointed out, as he did on both road course races this season, so he's not going to be able to do it at Darlington, but he still may be en route to what could be a 9th win on the season. Emery, though, has had an incredible run so far tonight. Let's drop back and check in on TCB. We heard from him at the drop of the green flag. Despite a good bit of damage to the back end of that car, he's doing an amazing job keeping that vehicle up into the top 10. He's now running 8th, just tagged the wall there, coming through 3 and 4 that time. But TCB keeping himself in the game, as a matter of fact. Next car is that of Herczeg, who's about 5 seconds behind. Not quite sure if he's still rim riding or wall pounding, but Herczeg is trying to close back up here and see if he can climb further up the ladder.
It looks like Zolt. Oh, he gets into the wall again.
Spoke just too soon there, Emerson. Just a couple of seconds too soon. Oh.
Taking a shallower line to get to that wall, I'd imagine, but Wishon will power right on by Herczeg for position. So I mean, I don't see any advantage to this anymore. Wall riding usually is frowned upon, but at this point he's just destroying his own car and losing time. But Herczeg still in the top 10 at VAT. TC Bevo, with the damage he has to his car to hold on to 8th, is very commendable at VAT. With Sean in 9th as well. Hard days all around, this bottom half of the top 10.
Bad corner there for Daniel Falkingham. He may have just hit the wall. The right side of that number 20 is caved in a little bit from what I can tell, and that brings the 66 right back to this battle for the lead. I was noticing that as we were watching Zoltan have some fun, I was noticing that the gap was just dropping by 100th, then a 10th. It was closing very, very quickly. That last lap in 3 and 4 was not good for Daniel.
And that may prove that no matter who you are, how good of a car that you have, it only takes one mistake to upset the apple cart as far as your performance at Darlington, and that may be what Falkingham just did. Remember, these two pitted on the same exact lap. Falkingham had an edge by a significant margin coming off the pit lane. One bobble, one mistake, and Oxendine is having a peek as they go to 3 for the lead.
The first time today since the initial start in turn 1 that Daniel Falkingham has been challenged on the racetrack for the race lead. Chad Oxendine will not have that advantage coming out of turn number 4, as Falkingham will walk it down the straightaway once again into turn number 1. But now the lap vehicle, Bobby Cheney, along with not being in the rhythm as much as he was before pit stops. Cheney slows up Oxendine and they're off the corner.
As a driver, especially Bobby Cheney's calendar, you got to look in the mirror and see a leader coming and stay up out of the way. I know that's a tricky corner to try and pass a lap car in, but I think a better job could have been done there. Regardless, we're inside of 50 to go here, Eric. These laps ticking off and away, and these guys went almost 65, I believe, before they pitted. We're well within that window. These guys are pretty well good. They know they can go to the end from here. It's a matter of how hard do they want to push. We were looking at some other drivers a little bit ago, and I do want to mention that David Schutt was about the only other driver aside from Zoltan Herczeg that has won here and is in competition. Actually, so David Schutt, John Barry, and Zoltan Herczeg are the 3 drivers in this race that have previous wins here. Could we add a 4th this evening? It's looking like it. The entire top 4 rather, has been winless here so far in all of their attempts. It's also worth mentioning, another little stat line here. I love stats if you can't tell. Daniel Falkingham is on his way to the highest percentage of laps led in a win here at Darlington in the NORC iRacing Series. They're going to come up on Zach Lindgren and Zoltan Herczeg. How does this one go? The top 3 in the championship most of the season, nose to tail. Zoltan Herczeg lets him go by.
I love the fact that you're able to do all the dirty work for us, Andrew, in terms of the math, because the statistics are amazing, and I'm happy that you're able to point them out, especially with a series as prestigious as NORC. We've seen a lot of these drivers go on to incredible things, and grabbing top honors in a series like this as Freilich catches the wall in front of the leaders. They're going to go double wide now in front of Falkingham with Oxendine looking for a way past. What a job by Cole Freilich. He gets out of dodge, goes way into the apron, and Falkingham squeezes up top on Howie Briss with Oxendine following.
I'd have to imagine the amount of pressure from Daniel Falkingham potentially clinching in the seat of that car as he approaches lap vehicles is enough to make a diamond, because that is a lot going on around this 20 car while battling Chad Oxendine in a potentially ill-handling race car at that. This is a lot. Daniel Falkingham is doing a phenomenal job of holding on to that race lead. But Chad Oxendine, again, the closest he's been, well, since the drop of the green flag from the restart. Now, is this potentially what we saw on the initial, on the restart of the race, where, Oxendine was able to hang with Falkingham and then fell back a little bit later? Now, this run is a lot shorter than that initial run as TCB's back on the pit lane.
Yeah, I caught just a glimpse there from the onboard of Oxendine of TCB pitting. Back up to the leaders, though. These two just staying in lockstep formation. I'd imagine, Eric, we're getting ready to gear up for 40 laps of these two duking it out at Darlington. This is why this place is so special. This is why this place is so fun. You get so much that comes at you, even with about 20 cars still running. In fact, 21 still on the racetrack, as something's happened to Tommy Gossett recently, and he is out of this one. With only 21 cars, we're still getting that lap traffic. We're still getting the side-by-side racing that we crave here at Darlington. There is still so much that is so special about racing here.
And, when we only have 10 cars on the lead lap like we do now, I mean, it just kind of is what Darlington brings, whether it be real life or the sim. I mean, that's just how this place kind of evolves. And the fact that we've got 2 cars that appear to be as evenly matched as Falkingham and Oxendine, and there's been a bit of a rubber band effect. Short run, they're pretty even. Maybe Oxendine's a little bit faster. Medium run, or I would say pretty much the long run, Falkingham's able to pull out an edge. But once they start having to negotiate their way through some lap traffic, they all kind of come back together again, as Oxendine may have a little bit of a better handle on his car in dirty air, and that may be what's helping him stick with Falkingham and pull right up to the rear spoiler in the middle of 3 and 4 with more traffic ahead. We might be in for a bit of a thrilling finish here tonight, as you saw on Sunday night, Andrew, and Emerson Arden. I'll tell you what these guys are putting on here right here, it's difficult to do at this track.
Absolutely. I'd have to say maybe Chad Oxendine able to get a little bit more apt to the dirty air, being in Daniel Falkingham's dirty air for majority of the race, while Falkingham has been in cleaner for majority of the race until he gets into lap traffic. I think that'd be a huge factor in this battle, as Patrick Colby will give way to the two leaders that are still nose to tail around this racetrack. And at this point, Oxendine just filling the mirrors of Falkingham. And again, later into this race, the pressure ramps up. Oxendine not being too aggressive right now, but just putting himself there, putting himself in the head of Falkingham to keep him on his toes, to make him be perfect the rest of this race.
While these two go out, I do want to highlight a battle further back as Freddie De La Rosa, Ariani, and Anthony Emery are doing battle. This is for the third, fourth, and fifth spots on the track. Anthony Emery, the furthest back of these three, in the 5th position. You can see Freddie De La Rosa right up on the top side. Anthony gets a run right to him, and to the inside of the 33 will go Anthony Emery. The number change for Freddie De La Rosa puts him back now in 5th. Pretty good run, though, so far from Freddie, who holds several lap records here at Darlington in the NORC iRacing Series. Now Anthony takes a crack here at Ariani. Can he do anything into turn 3?
Let's remember, Anthony Emery was one of the last cars to pit. He stayed out, led a couple of laps after Falkingham and Oxendine came down together. I don't know if he can make up this 8-second deficit, but he has driven his way up into 3rd right now. He's certainly, or I would say possibly, going to kind of shave that down, but should we get a caution, everybody's got enough sets of tires in the pit area to come down and make it a bit of an equalizer. So Emery deserves a little bit of praise here for playing the strategy right to at least race his way up into a position to battle the two best cars we've seen all night. It's been a great run for Emery so far, and he may not be done yet, as we got Freilich back on the pit lane.
I'd imagine a lot of these drivers are coming in for maybe more or less damage repairs or something of that nature, because of when everybody pitted. I figured it would be a relatively easy one stop to the end.
Well, those drivers pitted way early. Remember, they pitted with more so 70 to go.
That's right, and I guess, yes, then the 110 mark would be that 2-stop mark from the lap 30 caution, so I guess that would make sense. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm starting to realize here, I think with the sheer pace that Daniel Falkingham has, I don't think there's a whole lot that 2-stop strategy can pull off here, but we'll have to see maybe who can make it into the top 10 as opposed to who's in the top 10 now, maybe on that 2-stop strategy.
There might be another pass here. This is right in front of our race leaders. This is going to get tricky as Tom Mercier goes right down to the inside of David Schutt. Oh, this is going to get tricky. Tom is trying for the 8th position on the racetrack, just on the lead lap. You can see the Valvoline 5 eke out an advantage down the front stretch here at the Darlington Raceway, down to turn number 1. And Tom's going to gas it up and get some time made back up in the center of 1 and 2. Maybe. Digs down to the bottom side of turn 2. They'll go down the Bowen backstretch.
Battle's going to continue here with Mercier perhaps hinting that he's going to come to the pit lane or at least let the leaders go by. That's a great move by Mercier as he now goes a lap down. That will make David Schutt in 8th place, the last car on the lead lap, and he is not giving the leaders any room at all.
Huge play here for Chad Oxendine to potentially take an advantage here, take a shot at Daniel Falkingham. Doesn't do so, as they were already too wide down the front straightaway. That could have been huge. David Schutt just kind of parked it there at the exit of the corner. He held his line, to be fair, and by any means, he doesn't have to move over. But at the same time, Falkingham had to just really back out of it there, and Oxendine can't believe it. Take contact there to the center of 3 and 4. Oxendine tried to get to the back bumper there. We'll have to gather it back up and go at it again as we got 31 laps to go.
I don't think that was a plan to try either from Chad Oxendine. I think Daniel Falkingham just checked up a bit more at center of the corner than Chad was predicting. And we're starting to see, I think this pressure for the first time all season might be starting to get to that of Daniel Falkingham. We've not seen this guy crack under any kind of pressure yet. This might be the first time that we see it. It seems like Chad is there. He's just got this track on lock. And I go back to running the Retro 500. He went and finished 17th. Maybe not a fantastic run, but still ran really good, put it in the top 20, and that is beating out half of some of the best sim racers on iRacing. He did a fantastic job last night trying to do it all again.
Trying to turn some heads, and Chad Oxendine, as we got smoke up ahead, looks like somebody may have had a problem, but it has not drawn the yellow flag, so we stay green as there are 2 more lap cars up ahead of the leaders. But Oxendine has a bit of a reputation in terms of being a great short track racer, and he is, but he also is someone who knows how to get around some of these very tricky intermediate tracks. And you know, he proved it to us as Homestead, as I said on the broadcast earlier, and he's finding a way around Darlington. And he's also somebody who has, in my opinion, the right attitude. Psychology and approach to venues that are oftentimes tough really do require your head to be in the right space. Chad Oxendine, anytime we have him on as far as an interview by virtue of a top 3 finish or a strong finish, as that's Freilich on fresh tires going by, he appears to have the right mental approach, and I think that could parlay into success tonight, whether it be a podium or his 3rd win of the season. We'll see what he can do with Falkingham here as we're starting to approach the final 27 laps of this race next time by.
I 100% agree with the
Here we go.
Yeah, how about this? This is Oxendine to the inside of Falkingham. He has the preferred line in the 3 and 4. They go side by side, and Oxendine is not clear. Falkingham fights back on the outside.
Cole Freilich hit the wall to turn 2 and played catalyst to all of that. Now, Falkingham's got to defend once more. Oxendine down low. Freilich ahead, and I think Falkingham has got the better line through 1 and 2, certainly up top. Does Oxendine lift? No, he stays right on the inside of that 20 car, still side by side for now almost an entire lap, and now Chad drops back in behind.
That's off to Sean for being able to pull aside and give way. Now Oxendine with the run on the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4. Falkingham will surge ahead, but the best news for these two, at least for that of Oxendine, more traffic ahead. That has been the variable so far. Looks like they're going to come up here on the backside. Let's see what car they're about to encounter in turns 1 and 2 as they're catching them relatively quickly. That has been what Oxendine has been so superior as far as being able to navigate lap traffic. That's Simmons, who is multiple laps down. He yields to the leaders in turn 3. He'll let them go while Oxendine gets a better run in 3, and I don't think Chad's done yet.
A nudge there through 3 and 4 once again. Oxendine letting Falkingham know he's there, or at least letting him know that he feels he's better through the center of the corner. Now, with 25 laps to go, we continue on here, and Falkingham doesn't look like he's calm by any means. I do think the pressure has got to him. I think the lap traffic putting him out of his normal rhythm has got to him, and he's having to hold on for dear life in that 20 car right up against the outside wall at the track that is tagged as too tough to tame.
Worth mentioning, John Berry back into the top 5. The next lead lap car that is set to go a lap down will be Ariati, as it looks like John Berry for a moment may be battling, I think, side by side with Freddie De La Rosa. Let's take a look at that, as here we go. The Cale Yarbrough throwback is looking to get around that 33 car Red Bull Ford Mustang of Freddie De La Rosa. These are the next 3 cars that the leaders will catch. Granted, it will be in some time. They're only 13 seconds behind the leaders. That's not even a half a lap. Now, as far as other cars, lap down cars, I'm sure the leaders will be into some of those here much, much sooner. But Ariati, can he get back into the top 5? Maybe. He's looking to the inside of John Berry for a moment. Can't do anything there.
It's a great battle that we got here with 3 cars kind of knotted together, and they too are navigating their way around some lap traffic of their own as they come into turn number 1. De La Rosa is going to be the first potentially to encounter the next car in line who tags the wall. That's Sheldon Lockie, who got into the wall in the middle of 1 and 2, and that's going to check up De La Rosa. So, we got a car spinning behind him. That's Simmons way sideways. It looks as though he caught it in time before pounding the wall. Simmons is going to keep it straight. Ariati to the apron while John Berry looks inside on De La Rosa for 4th.
Great catch from Simmons to keep this race under green. John Berry now looks to power away with that newfound spot. I'm sorry, he's still behind Freddie De La Rosa. I was looking at a lap car that looks similar, I guess. Freddie De La Rosa felt right up there out against the outside wall. Berry looked like he was stronger through the center of 1, but couldn't get there. Couldn't find any way around that 33 car.
John Berry has won here before. Surprisingly, A win that is not on Freddie D's resume in NORC is here at Darlington. I mentioned a few times he has been fast here before, but has never captured a checkered flag. Maybe that is helping John Berry, as John is going to go right down to the inside of Freddie D, take that spot away, move Revin up into the 4th position. Maybe not. Maybe not. Freddie fights back, and ooh, that was close. That was almost some contact in 1 and 2. If there's going to be a corner that you make contact with somebody, be it intentional or not, it's got to be turns 3 and 4. 1 and 2 here, way too steeply banked, way too fast.
When you're considering all the elements that go into this sim and the potential of netcode and some quirky things possibly happening, I cannot believe that John Berry and Freddie De La Rosa did not just cause a second caution of the race with less than 20 laps to go right there in this hot and heavy fight for 4th. That was something that probably should have been a little bit more magnified, and they somehow kept it straight. But the key word I should use there, or words I should enter into the fray, is for now. I don't think they're done yet, as Berry's trying to size up De La Rosa, the Texas winner, in this fight continuing. And look at Berry get sideways there on entry.
Here we go once again, now out of turn 4. This is where John has been able to get the run off the corner, down the straightaway. Can he send it down into turn 1 without making contact with Freddie De La Rosa or the outside wall? He'll send it on in there, but De La Rosa gets the run on the outside through the entry of 1. He'll hold station in that 4th position and enter Ariotti into this battle.
This is again where I bring up the fact that Freddie D is not a chase contender. Now John Berry right back down to the bottom side, clips the apron to try and make this pass. He's almost got it, not quite clear. But yeah, John Berry's got to be getting frustrated under the helmet right there, Eric. Got to deal with a driver that is not in the chase. And again, Freddie D defends that position. And these guys are really backing themselves up. Since we started covering this battle, they've dropped over 2 seconds to the race leaders. They are losing time, and quickly.
Agenda is one of the talking points we brought up coming into tonight's broadcast. Falkingham get another win. Oxendine try to get a victory. But for some of these competitors, including the likes of a John Berry, try to put yourself in the best position possible for the points. The drivers he's sandwiched between, like a De La Rosa, like an Ariotti, they don't care. They want just results, just victories, and potentially top 5s. Berry's going to try to send it in. Will we see a slide job by John Berry? He makes the pass.
Wow, 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 amazing race, but here comes De La Rosa right back to the quarter panel. He can't get there, now all over the rear end of John Berry. He peaks, but he doesn't send into turn 3, and I think John Berry now has a quick moment to breathe before he has to set his sights on. Here comes a lap vehicle of Cody Miller up the inside, but John Berry had to set that up for laps. He attempted laps on end into turn 1, into turn 3, couldn't make any of them work, and contact there, De La Rosa in the wall.
Cody Miller just walled Freddie D, and Freddie's going to give it back to Ari a little bit, trying to get back to the bumper of the 23 car. Freddie is not too happy with that one, but who would be in that scenario? Cody Miller going to move on by. He continues on his way, but that is likely going to halt the progress for Freddie De La Rosa and likely drop him quite a ways through the running, well, I shouldn't say through the running order. He's still got seconds, lots of seconds back to Jared Wishon for 7th, but that's going to be a lot more difficult to fight back from for 5th.
And it's created an interesting dynamic here with about 15 laps to go in this fight amongst the top 5, where it's going on all in excess of about 16 seconds behind the leaders, who all, by the way, are still separated by less than 0.3 of a second. So, but it's also showing us how close to disaster a number of these competitors are and how close we may be to a late race caution while we're watching Anthony Emery try to work his way through the lap car. David Shutt. Emery's in 3rd, 11 seconds off the leader. He's got a big run on Shutt here with Bobby Chaney up ahead, but Oxendine evidently has closed up on the back bumper of Falkingham for the lead as well. We may not be done settling this race here at Darlington just yet. Oxendine maybe trying to save something for the latter portion.
Aggressive, physically and emotionally exhausted drivers in Xfinity cars that are oh so tough to drive around a track that's even tougher to drive is a recipe for disaster on, this late into a run on tires. You got this gaggle of cars back here. That's Sean Williams clearing his way by Howie Briss. This is a battle that is the first car 2 laps down, but they continue on in their fight.
That's for 11th on the racetrack. Sean Williams, a quiet day. Started off pretty poorly, but has since used attrition to move his way through the field. Look at that. As low as 22nd is now up into the 11th spot. And as you mentioned, Emerson, he's the first car 2 laps down. We're getting into that kind of stage of a Darlington race where it feels a bit like a multi-class race. You have the leaders, of course, that are quite quick, then a midfield that are a little ways off. Those are your lap down cars so far. And then everybody that's 2 laps down and further back that have just not been able to quite hang with the leaders, be it for whatever reason, and have really dropped off pace. Back up front, 11 laps to go. It's still Falkingham over Oxendine, but not by much.
Now we're going to start to enter the realm where we see these drivers push harder than they may have all night. Push the envelope a little bit further than they have all night. And not have the level of grip that they've had pretty much all night. Who is going to overstep the boundaries first and open up the door for someone like Falkingham to drive away, or someone like Oxendine to take advantage, or maybe, just maybe, if these two decide to create a little bit of a spark between one another, open the door for a variable and an outlier like an Anthony Emery to come up and steal the show. These final 10 laps from Darlington for NORC tonight are about to be a thriller. Here we go.
We continue on, and that is Chad Oxendine, who has now fallen back. I think this is the greatest margin Falkingham has had on Oxendine in about 40 laps. Oxendine, though, not losing much touch to Daniel Falkingham. We saw at the extreme long run that Oxendine really reeled in Falkingham. But that was because he got a little bit of clean air. He was about 2 seconds back from Falkingham. This run, he's been all but behind Daniel Falkingham the entire stint. And I wonder how the shape of that right front tire is, the right rear tire is on that 66 car. And does he have what it takes, even if he has the will to find a way around that 20 car? Does he have the car to find a way around that 20 car?
And if you recall, these drivers are on even footing. We don't usually see this on long runs. Usually, those leading restarts, pit stops, if you want to call them, the pit stops that lead up to a long run, you have some variation in when these drivers stop and, of course, how hard they push. I think these two drivers have been just about as even as you can be. The line is often pretty similar. I think Oxendine may be a little bit more aggressive with the line, but also maybe a little bit more calculated. It's so hard to say at Darlington. There's so many different ways to run this place and be successful. It's really hard to break down a driver's line and say he's doing anything completely right or wrong, because oftentimes it comes down to a pretty neutral gain or loss. So it ends up being just about the same as if he was to do something differently on entry or exit. As they come up on, it looks like Sheldon Lockey with those rookie stripes on the Melon Man 69. We're inside of, 7 laps to go. The last time by, it'll be 6 at the stripe. Things are getting close.
That is a spectacular point that you made there, Andrew. The fact that these two, remember, did pit. Oh my goodness. Sheldon Lockey gave us a scare there as he's going to pull aside and let Oxendine through, but they are, in fact, on a level playing field. I am going to come out and admit, though, that the devil on my shoulder is perhaps hoping for a yellow flag just to see how the pit strategy may play out with 6 cars on the lead lap. But nevertheless, this battle between these two all the way to the checkers is certainly going to be interesting. And lap traffic may be what Oxendine truly needs to get up there and disrupt the flow of Daniel Falkingham, who's seemingly been on a bit of a tear and in the zone since the second race of this season. Unfortunately for Oxendine, it looks as though that the opportunity to pounce may be running out. We'll drop back and check in on Bobby Cheney, who's in the mix of some lead lap battles despite being a few laps down. In fact, he separates Ariati and Freddie De La Rosa for the final spot in the top 5 on the backstretch.
We right on board Bobby Cheney. He'll take a spot there from Howie Brisk, but he'll put it in the wall there. Is that right in front of Freddie De La Rosa? It is. De La Rosa has to slice and dice through 2 lap down vehicles, and he'll find his way by. That could have been very close here in the late running of this race.
Bobby's quite a way off the pace now. This is all much further behind guys like Anthony Emery, Chad Oxendine, and Daniel Falkingham. Emery's been in a class of his own. Let's take a look quickly. As you can see, the leaders aren't quite near each other. The 44 car has just been on his own. That car is nice and clean. A little bit of contact to the right side, Eric, but a very clean number 44, and he's just working his way through traffic as these two, as Chad Oxendine may be the difference maker in this battle. I think he's just clipped the outside wall to turn number 2. I think we may have just found out, even if he just got loose, we may have just found out who's been pushing harder.
Yeah, he obviously was very low on the bottom of the racetrack on the back straightaway and lost some ground there to Falkingham with time starting to run out. Oxendine may have to push. The good news for Chad is he's got a lot of breathing room back to Emery, who rides in third. So he can flirt with the wall, catch the wall, get into the wall here in these final few moments of this race and still have a shot, but he's going to have to dig deep and dig deep now.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of time left for Chad Oxendine to find his way to the rear end there. Falkingham continues to lose time. Daniel Falkingham just walking away now. Again, now the largest margin since they pitted is what Daniel Falkingham holds over Chad Oxendine with 2 laps to go here at Darlington. He has the lap vehicle, Patrick Colby, up ahead. And, well, that's about it. Patrick Colby looks like he's going to give way on the back straightaway as Falkingham has a lap and a half to go here from the track that is too tough to tame.
Completing the going back stretch for the penultimate time through turns 3 and 4. You see the gap bottom right of your screen. Daniel Falkingham is going to exit turn number 4 and take the Tucson Sound Dart white flag. It's one final time around the Lady in Black. The Greg Sachs number 20 throwback used to have Hardee's on the hood on the side. Now it's got First Rate Bait and Lobster 207. Out of turn number 2, it's quite a gap further back. Is Chad Oxendine going to send it like Kyle Larson? He's way too far back, but we'll take a wide shot just in case. He tries it! Chad gets there! Oh, contact! My goodness! Falkingham gonna accelerate from the scene first, but it's gonna be Chad Oxendine maybe on the outside. No, I think he gives it up. I don't think he wanted to take it that way, but he got there. It worked.
I can't believe what we just saw. We saw it on Sunday with Kyle Larson taking a similar shot at Denny Hamlin. Oxendine went for it, rightfully so. They saved it, and unfortunately for Anthony Emery, he was too far back to be a factor. And here comes Oxendine around Falkingham at the checkered flag. Wow, engine number 9 is Daniel Falkingham with his 9th win of the season, but this one did not come easy. That was nuts.
Well, certainly unexpected finish from the gap that Oxendine was back. He was half a second back, and he got to Daniel Falkingham in the final corner with that 10, albeit going through a wall and on as close you can get to a video game. But Falkingham burns it down, deservingly so, and well contacted there in his celebration by another vehicle, but his 9th win on the season. Wow, for Daniel Falkingham, that's wild.
That was incredible. Yes, we will go back and look at it, but first we got to give Daniel all of his glory here in this burnout. The most well-earned victory, potentially, of his NORC career. That was incredible. I was setting it up. I was wondering, are we going to see it, Eric? I don't know. I mean, he's a little ways back. Is he really going to try it? And then suddenly Chad Oxendine with the Kyle Larson send in turns 3 and 4. It's something that Carl Edwards first popularized way back in Atlanta back in the day, or Kansas, one of the two. I forget which one. I was much younger. I've slept since then. But we haven't seen a send like that since Sunday night when Kyle Larson tried it on Denny Hamlin, and now we've seen it again.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, it's something that I love because we've all done it as kids, right? I mean, you think back to when you were playing console games, and now we look here, the argument exists. Is this thing really similar to what happens in real life? I think that if we were to pair the footage that we have tonight to what happened on Sunday night, I think it answers your question. The only difference may be, I think Chad may have cut him a little bit of a break, and he actually got to the outside of Falkingham compared to what Larson did on Hamlin Sunday night. And this was a legitimate thing. I mean, if Larson doesn't do what he did on Sunday night, we think that this move is damn near impossible. No way anybody could ever pull that off. No way it would ever work. The law of physics would get in the way. Throw it all out the window. Larson proved it's possible. Oxendine not only proved that he can emulate it, he almost perfected it. And as they came to the line, we'll watch here. I think we'll know in a few when we talk to him, but I think he decided that what was right was what was right. But this is incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chad, he just wanted to see if he can get to the outside of Falkingham, maybe have a drag race to the line. I'm certain he didn't want any contact with Daniel, and I think that's what prompted maybe not getting onto the throttle there after Falkingham had to catch the car on the bottom side of the racetrack. But still, an amazing job from Oxendine to try to get there. I mean, he did get there. Just the contact there, and Oxendine, I'm fairly certain the gentleman's move there to let Falkingham just take what was rightfully his at that point.
Let's watch this one more time, and we're gonna take a wider shot. Let's see if we can try and watch some of the gap and just how quickly this closes up. I'm gonna be honest, this is more impressive than maybe anything I've ever seen on iRacing. The fact that he gets there, and of course, I don't think he was trying they're necessarily expecting to get there. He's going to send it on the top side just like Kyle Larson. He clearly was not expecting to get there. He does, though, and Falkingham, as Ed Kell points out in the chat, I think Falkingham was going to give him a lane, then realized that maybe it was for the win, moves up, and suddenly there's contact, but Chad did lift out of turn 4, did give it back to him, and make sure that Daniel still wins.
And that's we talk about sports. Let's go back a little bit. This race at Darlington, the track too tough to tame, where the majority of the field has damage to the right side of their car, only saw one caution throughout the entire 147 laps. Then we get down to the end, and these two have it coming together. Oxendine was trying to perfect this move, and I'm excited to hear from him because I want to know if he in fact lifted, because when Falkingham got this thing straight, he burnt the back tires here, slid it sideways. I'm with you, Andrew. I'm thinking, Chad's got this. He's got this. He's got this. And Falkingham's able to drive away. I'm curious if Chad lifted at all, but there is an immense level of respect between this NORC field, well, we'll say throughout the majority of it, and I think it may have been evident here because Chad didn't go in there to wreck him. He went in there to try and find a magical way around him, and Falkingham went up to cover the spot, rightfully so, and it gave us a thrill of a finish, which going into this point in the back straightaway, we thought it was game, set, match for Daniel to get win number 9. Not so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely do think Daniel was pretty set on just trying to take his normal line out of turn 4, using the hill to, the advantage, just trying to get down to straightaway. But I think he looked in his mirror and he saw Oxendine closing up and getting bigger in that mirror, and he said, "Uh-oh, I got to do something about this." And I feel like there might have been a little opening up of the wheel through the center of the corner. But at the end of the day, it's on the final lap. It's for the race win, and it was good fun.
I gotta say, Logan Detweiler asking out in the chat, have you ever? Yes, I have. Sunday night. That was the only time I've ever seen it before this. I still can't believe it. What a move. That's incredible. We will take a step aside, of course, but what a finish at Darlington. That is one that is going to make the Pit Stop TV highlight reel for a long, long time. Boy, what a finish. And we're going to have to get a video out on social media. I'm putting my guys on the spot a little bit, maybe myself as well. We've got to get a comparison out on social media if we can. That is just incredible. But we will take a step aside. We'll take our quick little post-race break, catch our breath, and try and assess what's just gone on and talk to our top 3 here in just a few moments.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring.
Welcome back to the virtual Darlington Raceway in the virtual Darlington, South Carolina, just outside of Florence. This little town sports NASCAR's greatest racetrack. I'm just going to go out and say it. NASCAR's greatest racetrack. What a show it put on this evening. What a finish it gave us. Boy, I cannot wait to hear from these drivers. Let's get right down to it. Of course, Daniel Falkingham, we're going to bring him in. And we do this, it seems like, every single week. We're talking to Daniel Falkingham. Buddy, wow. That's all I can say. That's my question to you is just wow.
I made that a little bit more interesting than I needed it to be, considering I scraped the wall off turn 4 like probably halfway through the race, and that gave me damage, which made my car tighter throughout the run. That's how Chad and them caught me. Like, Chad was just on my bumper, so all I did to try to do that last run with my damage, it made me so slow. I just had to try to outsave him, just save the right front a bit better. Thankfully, we did that coming down to the end of the race, and then Chad did the old Kyle Larson. And I was gonna be pretty pissed if I lost that race that way, so I just pretty much just stuffed him in the wall to make sure he didn't pass me. Or I like try to run high to like try to cut him off, and then we just got together. And then I pretty much just floored it as best I could, and I tried to get back to the line first. And thankfully we did that. So I was gonna make sure I held on to that thing, and thankfully we did.
Well, buddy, let's back up. Let's break up this run, this I guess day of racing into a couple of pieces. First, you got that early yellow, but you didn't even lose a single lap led in that exchange of pit stops. You didn't lose a lap led until the first round of pit stops when you came in and gave a couple of laps to Anthony Emery, and those were only 3. You led 144 of 147 laps. It's the best day that anybody's ever had at Darlington and gone on to win in the NORC iRacing Series, and you did it looking pretty good, too.
Yeah, it was, I just love this place, simply. I mean, the setup was probably one of the worst I've ever driven around here, but thankfully we had the track position, just managed our tires, and we were able to keep this thing in clean air, keep it up front. And albeit I did get myself damaged a little bit halfway through the race, we were able to just track position was the key. That's how I held off Chad. Just he couldn't pass me just because this is almost like one lane around the wall, and it's just so hard to pass. So just thankfully we got a good qualifying effort, just kept this thing up front. Pretty much took all the bonus points and stuff too, so that's even better. And Zoltan dropped out of the race or whatever, so yeah, I don't think this race could have gone any better.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to call it over until it's over. Certainly we don't know just yet, but if there ever was a time to maybe consider it clinched, this might be the time. At least a time early on to consider it clinched, this might be the time. 3 races to go. Phoenix, Chicago, Las Vegas. What's the game plan?
Try to go win all 3. That's what we're going to go try to do. I mean, heck, I mean, I feel like we should have swept all the chase races so far, but I kind of gave Texas away. So, but honestly, this is one of the greatest roles I've been on in a while. So hopefully we can try to keep it going. And I love Phoenix, so hopefully we can try to go win that one too. But really, we just got to go try to win the rest of them and see if we can keep building our win tally. I know how you keep mentioning all the stats of all the wins I have, and not gonna lie, I'm gonna try to get that a bit higher before this season ends. So all we're gonna try to go do is try to go win these last 3, and hopefully show this field what we're made of, and hopefully clinch this thing in style.
Well, firstly, I don't have any more room on the graphic to put any more wins, buddy. This is 9 now. I don't have room for 12, but if you do go win the next 3 and make it 12 on the season, we'll go ahead and consider that at half. 12 of 25, we'll go ahead and consider that at half, buddy. What a season it's been. Who do you want to shout out? Who do you want to thank this evening winning at the track that is too tough to tame?
Yeah, actually, first of all, now that you mentioned those asterisks and stuff, now that gives me even more motivation to try and make you figure out how you're going to place those. But also, I got to thank First Straight Bay Labs 207 for all they do. I got to thank you for making this amazing Greg Sachs throwback. Pretty much your idea to kind of want me to run a throwback and stuff, so I owe it to you for painting this beautiful thing. Glad we could park it in Victory Lane, albeit not clean, but at least we parked her in Victory Lane, so that's all really cool. So thank you for doing that. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys kill it every single week. Definitely going to be a fun one to go back and watch. Got to thank everyone who races each and every week. Also got to thank John Barry, who runs the league, runs the show. Yeah, and shout out to everyone racing tonight. Again, I mean, one caution at Darlington is pretty good. I mean, lately a lot of our races have been so clean this year, which has kind of been blowing me away. So this league has been getting a lot better with green flag racing, and that shows what we're really made of, what we are as a league. So shout out to everyone who races. I also got to thank all the fans who watch us each and every week, and also got to thank friends and family who watch as well.
Hey, Daniel, you mentioned the drivers getting better. Well, you're the one pushing them to get better because they're all chasing you week in, week out. Buddy, live this one up just like the previous 8. Have a great night, and I'm sure we'll see you next week at Phoenix.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Daniel Falkingham getting yet another win. 9, count 'em, 9 on the season, 144 laps led. The season gets better and better for this guy. We'll hand things down, though, to the driver that almost played upset to it. The Summer Shandy 66, driven by Chad Oxendine.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be a very interesting conversation. Chad Oxendine, first off, one of the things we talked about during today's broadcast is just how oftentimes you're one of the most optimistic and positive racers in a NORC field. It appeared to parlay well into your performance tonight. But the number one question we have to ask after that incredible move in 3 and 4, did you lift coming back to the checkered flag? What was the outcome of that final 1,000 feet before you got to the checkers?
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to hit him. If he would have been under me and I could have got the outside without hitting him in the back, I would have stayed in it. But I got out of it. I didn't want to win it that way. I really hated to even do that. But it just kind of felt right with what we've seen at the real race on with Larson. And so I tried it, and I just, like I said, if I could have got to his outside, usually you kind of dive in that corner and bring it down to the dotted line, and it's like I got to him a little too soon. So, yeah, I let him have it there, but it was fun. It was a good race.
It certainly provided a highlight reel that we're going to milk for as long as we possibly can, because it did emulate the same cup race that happened a few days ago. But if we rewind a little bit further, you and Daniel seemed pretty evenly matched all night long. I have to think back to the pit stop. Was it your agenda all throughout in order to try to stay on the same strategy as Daniel? Or looking back, do you wish that maybe you came in a lap earlier or maybe even a lap later if possible?
Yeah, so I was kind of indecisive. I wanted to pit at lap 90, 89 or 90 I had in my head, and then I was saying to myself, well, I think I'm as good or better or equal to him tonight, so I didn't want to have like 3 or 4 laps older tires than him, and I knew it would be hard to pass. If I would have known what lap he was coming, I would have went 1 lap sooner, but I just didn't know. So I'm like, you know what, we're going to ride it out and be on equal footing and try to beat him heads up, and just came up a little bit short. Gave it all I had, though. It was, man, close.
We talked about before your reputation as a great short track racer. You're starting to prove to be pretty darn good at some of these abrasive intermediates as well. I know the schedule kind of has tracks like Chicagoland, Phoenix, Las Vegas. What is your agenda for the remainder of the season? I know Daniel may have this thing sewed up for the most part. We haven't finished crunching the numbers on our end, but what is Chad Oxendine's main goal in the final 3 races or so? Is it to potentially get up to P2 in points if at all possible, or is it to try to win out the remaining 3 races?
Yeah, I just want to get in victory lane again. I thought last week would be a good chance. It just never panned out. I knew tonight I'd be really good, and I thought I had I had it there for a minute. So I just want to win again. I love Daniel. I got a lot of respect for him. He is fast, really fast. But I want to beat him. He's been winning everything out here in this NORC season. It's been his season, and I just want to win one before we're done here. So we're gonna give him hell here the last 3 or 4 races, whatever we got left.
Well, I told you before that you got one of the best looking cars in the field. That's because I'm absolutely biased towards it. But as the summer months wind down, I do want to give you an opportunity, though. You've been putting together some solid efforts all throughout the 2021 calendar. Once again, who do you have to thank for making nights like tonight possible?
Yeah, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. They're always fun to go back and look at. I know my family and friends that watch every week enjoy the broadcast as well. So shout out to you guys. Makes it more fun for us too to drive, and always enjoyed getting interviewed by you guys. Thank you to all my friends and family watching tonight, as always. And Line and Kugel, yeah, go get you a cold one here before the fall time, and while it's still hot out. And thank you for everyone that tunes in and watches the races.
All right, so I've added that to my to-do list before the night is over, and I appreciate the advice. Chad Oxendine, as always, we appreciate the time, my friend. Thanks for putting on a show there at the end. We appreciate the highlight footage for sure, and hopefully we'll be talking to you at Victory Lane in these final 3 races or so.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. Oh, and thank you to Revan, too, for putting on the league. Can't leave him out. But, yeah, you guys have a good week. Hopefully we'll talk to you from the #1 spot next week.
Thanks a lot, Chad Oxendine. We'll let go of those sentiments to Revan as well. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. Chad Oxendine, our runner-up tonight, in what was a thriller in the final corners at Darlington Raceway. In a race that only saw 1 yellow flag, Oxendine comes home just 1 spot short, but boy, did Chad give it a run there, coming to the checkered flag. We're going to toss it now over to Emerson Arden, who was standing by with Anthony Emery, who I'm sure was hoping that those two ended up a little bit more sideways in those final few moments.
We have to ask Anthony. First of all, I mean, a third place finish at that at Darlington is phenomenal. We have to ask, being on the other side of the racetrack when it happened, did you know what was going on in 3 and 4 in the white flag, or did you have to find out after the race?
Yeah, I knew. I heard about it, but I was so far back. I really wasn't. Even, I mean, they could have came to a complete stop and turned around, kept going, and probably would still beat me to the line. But I thought for a second, I was like, "Am I really going to win this race?" But didn't have it. Chad should have won that race. He shouldn't have let Daniel win. Daniel. He had it perfect. He was just going to ride the wall and get around him. Daniel cut up, and he thought he got into him. He let Daniel have it. I wish he would have kept his foot in it and kept it going.
At that, Chad, Anthony, you started 8th in this race at a track that's oh so hard to overtake. A little jumbled up initial start of the race, but you have to get yourself up right around that top 5 before that first caution of the race. How was it working your way up to that spot to put you in that intense battle that was 3rd, 4th, and 5th? That most of that second run.
Man. I don't usually complain. I was telling them a couple seconds ago, Daniel and Chad, I was like, I usually don't complain about the setup because I mean everybody has the same thing, and you kind of have to work with what you got. But that was the problem. That was one of the worst. I'm trying to think of some other time. There might be another time that was worse than that, but that was one of the worst setups I've ever driven. I couldn't do anything I wanted to, and even though I got 3rd, I mean I felt it was miserable to drive. I hated it, but once I got up there and I guess I drove up to 3rd or whatever. It was kind of just pretty lonely. It was, people made some mistakes early driving too hard, hitting the wall and stuff. I kind of drove around. Once I got into 3rd, I sat behind Chad for a little while, and then once the car got really tight, I couldn't do anything with it, and I just rode home all by myself. So, for 3rd. I don't think I've ever been more disappointed. It's not a fun race to me.
Well, I have to ask then, did your P4 and that Retro 500 play anything into maybe having that, that track time and being a little bit more prepared coming into today's race?
They drive quite different. I feel like it's actually crazy. The 1987 car, which has like 0 downforce on it, it's ancient. That setup turned a lot better than this one. So and that was in the daytime for the most part. And that's just such a unique car. No, I wouldn't say so, really. This is such a specific. Every car here drives so different. I mean, I wouldn't say it really gave me a big edge on anybody. BFIX, even running this car last week in official racing on here in the daytime, it's not even similar. What the setup wasn't even the same. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't say it helped me too much.
All right, well, Anthony, next up is Phoenix. How do you feel about tackling that flat 1 mile jewel in the desert?
I don't know if I'll be there for that one. I do like Phoenix. So we'll see what happens. But Phoenix is always a fun one. Hopefully, Chad can go in there and beat Daniel and stop letting this kid win every race in the series. But yeah.
At that, I have to say congratulations on your podium finish, your third place finish, even though you're not super stoked about it, but we'll give you the floor here to shout out whoever you got to shout out. Thank you, whoever you got to thank for getting it done tonight here at Darlington.
Yeah, thanks to everybody watching out there. I don't know how many people watch, but thanks to all them. Thanks to everybody here at NORC, John Barry putting on the league, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
Absolutely. Anthony Emery, a third place driver tonight, the only other driver in the field to lead any laps. That wasn't Daniel Falkham today, and he led 3 of the 147. Falkham led the over 144. Anthony Emery, congratulations on the podium finish. Laps led tonight, and the great run from 8th up to 3rd.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Third place finisher, Anthony Emery. Andrew, again, wild race. Emery, though, just a very quiet day.
Yeah, it was a quiet day for sure. Drove up through most of the pack and got up into that third place position, as did a few other drivers. Let's check out the full results this evening from Darlington. Still unofficial. Doubt much will change, but still unofficial. We'll add that note as Daniel Falkingham takes victory over Chad Oxendine with 144 laps led to boot. Anthony Emery, already talked to him, finishing 3rd place. John Barry muscles up into 4th over Ariati and Freddie De La Rosa in that battle. Then almost a lap behind them, Jared Wishon comes home 7th, Tom Mercier 8th, David Schutt 9th. Those guys all 1 lap down. Sheldon Lockey 10th, 2 laps down.
As we get to the second page of our results with some drivers who had some misfortune, Sean Williams, who had one of my favorite throwbacks of the night with that Terry Labonte design, the 89, was 11th. TCB, 2 laps down. We didn't talk about him all that much. Was up in the top 10 at one point in this race, finishes 12th. Bobby Chaney, 13th, and I always love the look of that car. Reminds me of Jimmy Spencer's ride in the late 90s. Howie Briss was one of the first cars we saw get into the wall. He was the first car 3 laps down at 14th, while Cody Miller was 15th. Patrick Colby had a quiet night. We didn't talk about him all that much, but he had a solid run, finishing in the 16th spot, albeit 4 laps off the pace. And Cole Freilich, who was involved in one of the only caution, in fact, the only caution of the night, was 17th. Zach Lindgren, you want to give a sportsmanship award to somebody, that's the guy to give it to. Started this race about 3 or 4 laps down off the jump, stayed in it, finished 18th. What a job by that driver there in the 85 tonight. James Simmons, another one, was multiple laps down early in the going, stayed with it, 19th. And Zoltan Herzeg, pretty much one of the surprises of the night. We saw him have that moment mid-race where he just kept ricocheting that car off the wall. And as we heard Daniel Falkingham allude to in his Victory Lane interview, he eventually DNF'd from the event as well and finished 20th.
Continuing on Heartbreaks Row, we have 21st place driver Elijah Gracia, who decided to back out there at 32 laps down. Tommy Gossett came in for his one and only pit stop there, making it a 1 stop to the end. He decided to bow out, and he'd be 22nd, 58 laps out. Brett Pancari had to pull it in early after that crash on pit exit. 71 laps down, we'll find a 35 and 23rd, and Michael Keithley will round out the field, 24th, 98 laps down.
24 drivers in all making the trip down to Darlington, South Carolina, at least virtually. And what a race it was, ladies and gents. I think you can all agree that is one to go into the NORC history, highlights, whatever you want to call it, for a long, long time. What a great race at Darlington this evening. Let's take a look at our partners here at Pit Stop TV. As per usual, I want to give a big shout out to Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. Use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your order today. It's a wall-mounted sound art device, and what that means is you can put literally anything you want on your wall, as far as image, whatever looks good to you, be it a memory, maybe a sim racing win potentially, or Chad Oxendine grinding the wall down in turns 3 and 4 to try and take the win from Daniel Falkingham. Put it up on your wall on a beautiful canvas, and it plays music as well, and it's a fantastic product. We've got a couple of ads from the manufacturer, but Tucson Sound Art, that's the people who puts the canvas, puts the speaker, put it all together, and ships it out to you. They do fantastic work out there as well. Again, TucsonSoundArt.com for more information on them. Also, proud presenting sponsor of our white flag, as you see that waving in the frame as well in our replay. Also want to give a big shout out, of course, to RacePays Setups, our official road setup provider at Pit Stop TV and Whiplash Racing. Let's not forget Permanent Makeup in Cryowood, Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. Hope BAM gets well as well. I believe he is a bit under the weather, so hopefully he gets to feeling pretty good this week, as he's always at a racetrack, it seems like. A lot going on this evening, Eric. A lot to talk about for the week to come as we get ready for Phoenix next week. We didn't get a chance to look at it earlier on, but let's take a look at our schedule quickly as the happenings of the final lap go on in the background. Next up, Phoenix, 150 laps before a couple of 1.5 milers to finish the season.
I think we've answered the question. What track will pause Daniel Falkingham's streak? I think the answer is none. I could truly see him winning out on this thing as far as Phoenix, Chicagoland, and Vegas. And I said it all throughout. If you go back and watch some of our earlier broadcasts of the season, this is one of my favorite schedules to whip together as far as being able to check all the boxes as far as what is best to test these drivers. Daniel Falkingham has passed with flying colors. I mean, he is 1 win shy of double digits, and I don't know what more the guy can't do. There doesn't appear to be anything as far as this season. It's been remarkable.
Yeah, and at that, I mean, this caliber of driver, the field of drivers, I mentioned this almost every week I'm on the call one of these races. It really does show week in and week out through this gauntlet of tracks we've had throughout these now completed 22 races, and almost every one of them has been entertaining in some aspect or another. Yes, even last week's race with the amount of cautions that was at Bristol, there was still a crazy end there. And at that, I mean, I don't think it's going to stop with Phoenix and the 2.5 miles to close out the season. I can't wait to see how we get through 23 through 25.
You can see it happening in the background. What a finish this evening at Darlington. It's a great way to not quite cap off the season, but darn near cap off the season. I would not be sad if Darlington became the finale in future seasons to come, be it in NORC or any other league or even NASCAR. I think Darlington would be a fantastic final venue, but of course you cannot move it off of Labor Day weekend. Just what a race. What a place to watch a race. What a track. What a combination. Just so much is incredible about this date in particular on the schedule as we wrap things up from the Darlington Raceway. Upcoming broadcasts here at Pit Stop TV, there is a lot of them. Bit of a lighter week than usual, it seems, as we only have the Outlaws Sim Series tomorrow night at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, then Donington Park for the North American Racing League as they wrap up their 8-race schedule. Then we wrap back around, and it looks like a bit interestingly, those times are a little bit off. I guess that's the one part I forgot to update, as well as the days. So a couple of small hiccups there, getting back from the Labor Day weekend, but the point is, tomorrow night, Wednesday, is the Outlaws Sim Series New Hampshire. Then Wednesday, dang it, I did it. There we go. Thursday, at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time is the North American Racing League at Donington Park. And next Tuesday, at Phoenix Raceway, it is NORC Season 13 Chase Race number 5, overall race number 23. From Phoenix Raceway. You can keep up with all of this happening going on at Pit Stop TV on our social media channels. Eric, there's a lot of them.
And I have my preferences, of course. I talk about it all the time. First off, Facebook.com/PitStopTV/ Instagram, where we already saw the spectacular finish clips and highlights that was handled by Trey Shuttlesworth all throughout the night. Instagram.com/Pit_Stop_TV/ Twitter.com/PitStopTV_/ And like I say all the time, my go-to element tomorrow night, the wife and I are going to head down to a play in Charlotte. When we come back, we're going to tune into YouTube.com/C/PitStopTV1/ to see how the Outlaw Sim series with Emerson Arden unfolds tomorrow night. Those are just some of the ways in which you could stay abreast as to all we have going on here, as there is an ever-changing amount of content that we're able to put out, and it appears as though that every time we are able to produce something that is thrilling, memorable, enjoyable, and a good way to get a little bit of entertainment on a night where there may not be too much more going on in the racing world. We got you covered, and I promise that trend will continue on, and tomorrow night, Thursday, and next Tuesday we continue the NORC slate for sure.
It was an impressive race all around, and there's going to be a lot to take from this one as we wrap things up from the Darlington Raceway. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Do want to thank everybody that puts in their hard work here at Pit Stop TV and the NORC iRacing series for making things happen. We hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. We hope you come back for more in the coming days, weeks, and so on and so forth. That will do it this evening from the virtual Darlington Raceway. I want to give a big thank you once again to my partners on the mic and on social media this evening. Emerson Arden, that's not correct. I forgot, I reloaded things. Anyways, the point being, Eric Brennan on the mic with me this evening, along with Emerson Arden and Trey Shuttlesworth on our social media. A fantastic day, fantastic evening of racing, and a lot to look forward to in the coming weeks, as we've got 3 races to go in the NORC iRacing series. You do not want to miss them. So, from Pit Stop TV, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.